going on? I'm Bobby J with City Chapters Podcast. Today we doing chapter 22 with ExZac Change. ExZac Change is a hip-hop artist, the host of the Happy to Be Here podcast, and a co-host alongside Iyzlow Matisse for the Live from Somewhere show. Recent projects include a single titled Get It Back, a single titled Life Changes, and an album in collaboration with Iyzlow Matisse titled Growth Spurt. Happy to Be Here podcast currently has 120 episodes out, and I was his guest for episode 55, if you ever want to check it out. So it's only right that I have him on now that I've had my podcast for a while, and I just wanted to, pay my respects and have the legend Zach on. So what's going on, man?
I appreciate it, man. That was a beautiful intro, and touched on some things that I forgot about already. I was like, oh yeah, that's right. Yeah, Live from Somewhere. That's been so much fun, man. So I appreciate the grace, and I'm honored to be here hanging out, man. When someone calls you to be on a podcast, you feel special.
Yeah.
And usually I'm the one calling people to be on a podcast. So when someone calls on you, you're like, oh,
yeah.
Wow. Okay.
To be in the opposite seat, for a time.
And I'll try not to interview you here.
Yeah, I know. I always think that when I have somebody that's an interviewer on, all right, how am I going to stop them from interviewing me?
Yeah, I just got to let go, man. I'm just a guest here. What's up, man?
Right.
I'm very happy to be here on the City Chapter podcast.
Thank you, bro. I'm happy to have you as well. I think really initially did meet for the first time when I came onto your podcast.
Yep.
Like we knew of each other before that, but I don't think we really had spent time before that. It might have been brushing shoulders or whatnot, because we have a lot of mutual friends, mainly Cody Duncan. Shout out to Cody.
Yeah, he was the one that was just talking you up and like, yo, I think this would be great. And then I was checking it out. And of course, you've done stuff with like other artists. And, I think that's always like a good way. Like that's where I saw the brand for the first time was, other people rocking it and stuff like that. And,
yeah.
So, but Cody had nothing but good things to say. And then that podcast that we did was just entertaining. I think we were talking about like you were going down to like Tennessee, like Nashville. We were talking about all sorts of like super fun stuff. It was just like ended up just being the funnest time. So
I'm gonna have to listen back to it myself. I know that was kind of like coming out of a winter. I know it was coming out of another snowboard season. I know that.
We were at the first studio we had just got with Brennan, and we were at that like in the Bennett building downtown, and so it is kind of crazy to see the progression, and it's cool to see now that you have a podcast. So and I don't know, it's inspiring to me even just to see how people kind of create something of their own and take it a direction, and then that inspires me. Like, oh man, this is cool. Like podcasting is just a beautiful thing, man. So
yeah, it is a beautiful thing. I mean, like we were just talking off camera, and I think the biggest thing for me, and I think you shared that as well, was that you get to sit down uninterrupted with somebody and really get to know them. Like people that I've known, like my homie Shane Thompson was on, and I learned things about him. I've known him my whole life, and I learned things about him in that 2 hours we sat and talked that I never heard before.
Yeah, I mean, even if you're just like, you go to your friend's house and you're like, oh, we're going to hang out, but then they got, maybe their kids are running around or something. Yeah. And it's like you're trying to...
You hanging out, you playing video games or whatever you're doing, but...
This is like the equivalent of like that REM sleep. Like, we actually we can get into that deep conversation.
I like that analogy. That's funny. Like we getting it deep, right?
Yeah, we get it deep. Because you're giving it the time to be able to get there. Yeah. Where it's like you're saying, sometimes you just never get there. You kind of just have like surface hangouts and just bullshit and stuff like that. But to really be able to, I feel like some people are afraid of it a little bit too. Like always want to keep it surface, like never really want to, where it's like a podcast. It's like, look into my eyes, man. Like let's hang out. Like it's all good. Like, a lot of social anxiety and stuff with the internet.
See, I get social anxiety from surface level talk. Like I don't know how to like communicate really on surface level talk. So like I'm like the opposite. Like I need most of the time to be in deep talk. I'm trying to learn how to like, just not feel that I have to, but like that's where I thrive in communication. I feel like is like if we can talk on deep matters, like, and be vulnerable about like real life, you know. But if it's not that, then I don't know what we're talking about.
And like the REM sleep analogy, it's just like if you try to go too deep and we just add like flat stick, all of a sudden now it's like, oh, like it doesn't work, you know. It's like you need the time, really, like even just like a little bit of time to like get and the right setting. I feel like it's just like that's where those come from, and this the small talk, right? That constant having to never really getting any real like meat and potatoes of a conversation. You're just kind of like, you know, having to just like, oh, well, how you been? Oh, okay, well, what are you doing? You know,
just talking the talk.
But
maybe that's all we ever do, no matter what we're talking about. I don't know.
No, we're not. No, we're not, because I think that a big thing is we get. Like if I could take something from it. Right. That's like,
what I like to believe, you know.
And I do though. I take stuff, man. Like
I do too. I'm
so like gems, like energy, like you know, how somebody looks at life like different than me or approaches different things differently. Like my superpower is the ability to see different perspectives. Because then I can add that into, you know, and that makes me more of a wider, more depth person.
Yeah, for sure. I think I do well at that too. Like I don't have like any truth, you know, that I try to tell everybody about. You know, like there is no truth. I mean, I think there's certain truths we can adhere to, you know, like basically don't harm others, you know, like I feel like that can be a recognizable truth, like don't harm others that have no intention of harming you, you know, or something of that degree, right? Like there's those kind of universal truths, like you shouldn't bring harm to others, you know, like, but
there's definitely a thing like you know, like it's like almost like the fucking 10 Commandments type shit. It's like, you know, or whatever, like don't, you know, have sex with your neighbor's wife or your home. Like there's just like certain things that it's just like if we all just follow these rules,
and I mean,
we'd be good people.
And whether God gave those 10 Commandments or not, or if it was just the trial and error of people living for so long, they're like, these are 10 things you should not do.
And that's what I believe. I'll be honest, like I'm not a religious person, so that's what I believe is I believe that it's like and that's, but it's almost like through religion or, you know, regardless of what you identify as, those rules are always the same. You know what I mean? So that's kind of what's like, oh well, that's like the universal, you know, everybody knows. Don't be a dick. You know, not everybody does that, you know, but everybody knows that the world would be a better place if we're all just nice to each other.
I mean, I'm definitely like, I feel like on the golden rule vibe, which originally was translated, do unto others as they do to you. So that means treat people the same way they treat you, eye for an eye. Like, I'm not going to harm you if you don't harm me. But if you cross a threshold, then we're going to have to see. You know what I mean? Like, that's just how I'm wired. Now, I try to be, you know, passive, but I don't try to be passive. That's not what I mean. But I try to be respectful, and I don't try to bring bad energy to anywhere, any place. But if it's brought upon me, then I have a really hard time not meeting you at that place.
100%, man. And, I mean, it's a mutual respect, right? Like, I feel like, and I feel like it's like, do unto others that you know, it's like that you would want, like treat people how you would want them to treat you.
Right. That's how it's translated now. But like the original Hebrew version is do unto others as they do unto you.
Like the eye for an eye.
Like, yo, if they do something to you, then you have every right to go to do the same thing. If they killed one of your brothers, you get to kill one of their brothers. Like, that's just my research, but you know, I'm sure there's going to be people out there that would question that, but
I'm sure
that's just from what I found the original translation actually means. And like I originally found that because I used to be raised in a church. I read one version of the Bible, then I read another, and that was the more original version, like King James version, that reads like that. And I was like, oh, that's crazy. They got us being taught in this new age that it's like, oh, treat people how you want to be treated. No, That's not what it meant. You know what
No,
I mean?
100%.
So I'm more on the OG Old Testament King James Version vibe. Like, you want it, you can get it. But I don't want to take that energy to people. My intention always is to show love and respect to everybody that I cross paths with.
Yeah.
But I think that, you know, in this day and age, and we're getting on a sidetrack, but it's cool because I like this because I just read this book about masculinity and, you know, how they're trying to take the warrior stage away from males. And like, that's an essential stage that males need to go through, is that warrior stage. You have to have something in your life that's worth fighting for. You have to have that strength to stick up for yourself. And if you were religious and you wanted to take, you know, the Christianity route and read the Bible, like every single Bible hero in the Old Testament is a gangster. Like, they were not dudes you wanted to mess with.
Yeah.
They were messing stuff up. Like, if you played with their tribe or whatever, they were out there at war, you know, and also doing other things that weren't right, you know, by our standards now today. But, you know, I just think that we're trying to soften males so much to be like, oh, you should never react in a negative way ever, no matter what anybody does to you. Because if you do, then you are a person that has anger problems or like whatever, and they just want to demasculate really what are natural emotions for a man and humans in general. But, you know, I think men thrive off anger. That's how we created all of what we've done, is through anger. That emotion is very strong, and it's how you learn how to channel it that is important. But you don't suffocate and deny that you have passion or anger, you know, that drives you, because most males, that's how they,
and that's what it is.
They get it done.
It's not even like anger. It's like, it is like that passion, and then it can go many ways. And I do think that the society that we've built, you know, like as a civilization, we've built so many comforts, and we've, you know, with the internet, like we have so much information, like we're becoming a lot more aware, and things can go too far. And I really do think that, you know, really there's a good balance in the middle. And I feel like you definitely, it's like you don't want to get rid of that warrior in you and that fight in you. And I mean, I'm going to be real with you. Like, even people that just like people that like jerk off all the time and shit like that, you know what I'm saying? And it's like being able to like there's some power there too. And like being able to harness, you know, energies to fuel you to be hungry, you know, and shit like that. And like that anger and that kind of shit, like being able to turn that into a drive to
transmute it,
to make yourself a better person, a more productive person, to reach a goal. And you're right. Like, I feel like our society gets softened to the point sometimes where it's going in that direction, where it's like, you know, can a lot of men even like protect their space, protect their family? Like, if somebody's going to like test you one time, like, can you even, you're so used to. Are you
even willing? That's even
and you might think,
right.
But when like, it really happens to you, how are you going to react?
How are you going to react?
Because this has never happened now. And this dude just like punked you right here. This dude, you know, or whatever the case may be, you know, everything that I'm learning right now at 36 years old is like, I'm just always getting ready, you know, and that for me, that's not like, oh, I'm getting ready for a fight, but that's a part of it. And also it's like, I'm getting ready for an opportunity, right? Like, so all the time in between time, I'm just getting myself set up so that way if an opportunity comes, I can take advantage.
Yeah.
You know, because how many times is it a door opens and it's like, I just can't, you know? So
I feel you. I think, as a man, you just gotta, and this is like another verse from the Bible that I like. And I'm not religious, but there's a lot of wisdom I've gained from the Bible. But it's putting your suit of armor on every day, you know, being ready every day. Because the day that you don't put it on, that's when something could happen. And usually it does. Because you weren't ready and you got attacked that day. And the attack does not have to be physical. No. It can be a mental attack, you know. It can be, you know, things from outside your force within your environment that are playing games with you, or it seems to feel that way. However, your brain,
emotionally,
emotionally,
I feel like emotions is like a big one that is like, you know, from like the masculinity side of the past and like my dad's generation, his dad's generation, and it's like, you know, just kind of ignoring them, like, or like, you know, where it's like when we can be more intelligent around how emotions work and how they really do affect us, and like, you know, if I can control my emotions, then I can almost like control so much more, you know, because then I can control, like, you're going to be able to react in those situations when the unexpected happens better when you can keep all your emotions are in check and you can stay calm in hectic situations. You know, it's really when you get all you know, oh my God, I don't know what to do. You know, and when you're emotionally unstable like that, I feel like that's where the pseudo armor thing is fucking money, man, because every day, it really is like something that needs to have, like, you need to be, I don't know, that analogy just really is it. Every day, the day you don't put it on is the day that you get comfortable not putting it on. Yeah. And then
you get caught slipping, as modern terms.
For real, though.
Caught slipping.
And that could be anything, man. You could just lose your job. Yeah. You could just, you know, your girl could just leave you. With the kid, you know, it could come in so many different forms, but yeah, I just hope hope I can like I just want to continue to learn, you know, like from people like you too, is like, have a lot of knowledge and lived a lot of life. I feel like people that have done a lot and like been through a lot are the people that have like, can teach you a lot.
Yeah, I agree. And that's, you know, full circle. That's why I do this podcast. Same thing, perspective, gaining perspective, learning from others and how they see the world. And, you know, my goal with City Chapters is to build an organization that has a lot of viewpoints on how our society's thriving or isn't, and where we can talk about these issues. And eventually I would like to be able to help, you know, with these things beyond just making clothes, because it's not really, that's just a means to an end, you know. And I like clothes and I like being fresh, and having a physical product to represent your city and your community is just a way to show, you know, physically show that you love it, you know. But really, I want to be able to take this podcast to a place where, like, yo, these conversations we have on here, you know, have or will change, you know, perspectives of people, and be like, dang, you know, I didn't think of it like that. Or, you know what, I've never heard somebody explain volunteering the way that person did. That works for that nonprofit. I think I'm gonna go sign up, you know, or whatever. And just so things of that nature. So yeah, just gaining perspective. And I you know, one thing I want to do on here too is just like have people on to have just a conversation about what we were just talking about, like masculinity, and it just be, that's what we're talking about, you know. But this one is about you. So
well, I mean, you know, I feel like, you know, if you got me on the podcast, like, this is the type of shit I want to talk about, like, because you know, like I want to just become a better person. And I feel like one thing that really helps is being curious, you know. And I feel like motherfuckers that act like they got it all figured out, you know, people who don't, I got it, I know, like, you know, you're done. You fucked yourself. Like, you put yourself in a box, you're done. You know what I'm saying? If you can be curious and just be like, even if somebody gives you some bullshit information, you're just like, all right, well, I'm gonna, you know, okay, like, and then you just find, okay, nah, you know what I mean? I'm always gonna be open and curious, and maybe that's a downfall too, because I always feel like when somebody tell me something, I feel like they know what they're talking about. But I'm always like, you know, I'm always just like open and curious about people and the world, and I feel like that helps me, you know, not like box out game. Because game gems, you know, life, like things about life that can make my life easier, you know, like I can, you know, people cut corners, people do something and fucking, you know, you can look at what they did and be like, oh, okay, do it this way. You know, like I want to learn from people's mistakes. When I was younger, that's what I thought I was going to, you wish you could do, but you're so damn stubborn that you're just like, well, I'm just going to do it this way. And then they're like, oh, they all told me to do it this way. And now I'm like, bro, like time, this is it, man. We on the journey right now. Like when you old, you're going to be looking back and being like, man, this is it right here. Doing a podcast with Bobby right now on a fucking Tuesday. This is the journey, man. Like this is the shit that you're like, man, that was dope. That was fun, you know?
Yeah.
So
yeah, I think that's something I've learned a lot lately too. And, you know, unfortunately, I feel like I wasted a lot of time, but I also know I gained a lot of knowledge through all the failures that I wasted my time on, right? You know what I'm saying? Like these failures that I consider a waste of time are what actually have built me into the man I am now. And I was like super stubborn, bro. Like I've known for a long time that I shouldn't have been doing certain things, but I didn't want to stop. And even though I knew if I did stop doing those things, they would equate to less suffering and to more success. Yeah. You know, and we're all going to suffer, but we really have the power to choose a lot of our sufferings, you know? And
so that was like a self-imposed kind of a like, I have control over this, but I'm just not.
Yeah, like the biggest one for me that most people know of with me is like alcohol. Like I just always like would try to barter with life to be able to drink, you know, but it prohibited me from so much advancement in life because I couldn't let go of it, you know, and mainly I drank just to be around the homies and be doing cool shit,
just
right?
Be social, just be out.
Right, just be acting like you that guy and with the crew and like that whole, you know, thing that we're fed, you know, to try to attain as a young man is like, how can you be that guy with the money, with the cars, but you gotta be in the club or like whatever, you know. And it's all like really, you know, most of it's just a facade. It's fake, you know what I mean? It's not really developing you as a person and as a man because you buying into a projection that was shown to you. Yeah. You know what I mean?
Anything worthwhile is a long-term hard work and building, you know? Like nothing is just, and that's where I think we had it twisted when we were younger, like young 20s and shit. It was like, oh, that, I'm gonna just get that. I'm gonna just get that. And that's not how it works, man. Like you got to build a name for yourself for 10 years. You got to fucking put in work for 10 years. And when you think of it like that, you're like, oh shit, you know, well then I don't know. Do you want to rap? Like, cause can you rap for 10 years, motherfucker? Can you do shows for 10 years and fucking 7 of those years, nobody gives a shit? You know, can you suck for 5 years at this podcast, at this, whatever the fuck you're trying to do, right? Yeah. And man, that's the hack that I didn't know when I was younger. I didn't know the path. I knew the destination. I didn't know the path. And I feel like now I know the path. Now I know it's like even the most successful people you see, the most successful basketball player, musician, whoever, it's like, oh shit, they were making music for years. They were shooting for, this kid's been playing for years. Like, I mean, he's 21, but he's been playing since he was 5. Like, you know, I mean, it just takes years of work and dedication to anything to make it worthwhile. And that's what I learned. The facade is a big one that gets people. And I hope that with the internet and with podcasts and shit like this, people can you know, young people can listen to shit like this and be like, you know, take control of your life. And then you can have so much more with so much more time. Yeah. You know,
that's real. I mean, you know, like for any young person, it's just about, if I could like give myself knowledge when I was young, like do what you know you need to do. That's it. Don't do the other stuff because you know what it is that you should and should not do. Yeah. And you know if you want something, what it takes to attain it. But if you try to play both fields, you're going to fail. like doing what we do, whether it's in clothes, whether it's in music, it really needs your undivided attention. You have to have a little balance, but that balance where you seek to, these other things of your life, if you're really dedicated to what you want to achieve, if it's a high aspiration and goal, what you're doing on the side for yourself, for the balance, it cannot be harmful to you. Mm-hmm. But like most people are living, I'm not going to say most people, but like a lot of people that try to do something that's like this, if you don't have the focus on that one thing and that one thing alone, and you're trying to do this, that, and the third, and be out partying and hanging with girls and doing all that, like you're most likely not going to make it.
Yeah.
Most likely. Now, if you can figure out how all those things involve what you're doing for your brand, then there's a potential there. But you better have the discipline to know how to balance your drinking and these different things to a point where you're not affected by that. And then again, that's very rare too. People that can drink and maintain and stay focused, but people do it. But it's a rare thing in that of itself, you know what I mean? Like,
I think I've noticed that alcohol is one, like especially the like a lot of people struggle with, you know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. And but I do think that it's just like that constant balance. That it's just a constant balance, and being real with yourself, you know what I'm saying?
That's
and being able to be like, dog, this isn't good for me.
Yeah.
Me and my girl, before I left to come to this podcast, we just talking about, alcohol and weed, and we always just like, even me and my girl, we always just trying to get better, and we just, should we just take a month off? Like, we just because we just want to be as productive as we can be, you know what I mean, and always be growing. And I always see like weed and alcohol, especially as things for me that are tools, and so they must add to, as soon as they start to take away, well. Yeah. Now we're spending money to take away. That doesn't make sense. Yeah. We can't,
And yeah, I agree. And no matter how big, like I've came up with this saying, I mentioned it before, no matter how big or small something is, if it's harmful to you, get rid of it.
Yep.
That's really that simple. Now the execution is harder because we're humans and our mind is funny, plays tricks on you.
Sure does.
And it's hard to let go of these things that are harmful to us, but we're addicted to them. Mm-hmm. And, we were talking about emotions before and all these different things, but like, we're addicted to our emotions, the negative ones. Like our body actually craves those chemicals that we get from our negative emotions. If you're in a habitual way of being negative, your body actually wants that chemical release of those negative emotions.
That makes sense.
Same thing with alcohol. Like these things that are harmful for us, but the body's addicted to it. Mm-hmm. So it's hard not to do it. You know what I mean? Because the body and the mind and all these things are working really against you. It's your spirit that I believe is trying to attain that higher self, or unleash the higher self that is within. But the spirit, body, and mind, they're all separate. And to get them in coherence is incredibly difficult.
Wow. I never really thought of it like that. The spirit, the body, the mind. Because I've heard that before,
Yeah.
But see, when we're talking about like just game and gems and perspective and shit like that, like this is what I'm talking about. Because, I'm always trying to look at it like that, like, kind of dissect it down, because there is like, it's crazy how much shit's going on, right? Like you do have like your body, which has these like kind of reaction, like your body does what it does, but then your mind is like this separate thing, right? And then your spirit, I mean, bro, this isn't even religion. This is just like, this is really like, what feeds your soul, what's good, like what's good for you.
Yeah.
Not like physically, but like what's good for you. And a lot of that is like who you hanging out with too. That's what I found out. Like as soon as I started cutting people out, I'd rather have less friends and less people, and be around the right people who, you share a vision and share the same kind of love for like going deep and having conversations. And they know like, hey dude, like when we hang out, like, for me, it's crazy. I just feel like I never have enough time with people. That's another thing with podcasts too, outside of just the interruption, is like, I never feel like I get enough time. I feel like I go hang out with somebody. It's like 40 minutes, an hour and a half, feel like 20 minutes is just over, you know, and like be able to, you know, when you were a kid, you used to just do like sleepovers and like, what's up, man? We gonna stay up all night. Like you would just be chilling. And, you know, now it's just like everybody's got so much shit to do that it's just like you just, you know.
You have to have a reason too to like hang out these days, man. Like you can't just kick it.
That
like,
shit just gives me anxiety just thinking about it.
Yeah.
For real, because I'm just like, that's what I'm saying. That's why I'm saying, like, in 2023, people do podcasts to hang out, because it's like, it really is the perfect thing to be like, yo, we got to hang out and we did something.
Yeah, mutually beneficial for each party to get, you know, information out there and
now, is that,
feel like, we accomplished
is that
something
just
for
our,
work or whatever.
Is that our primitive being, or is this just like, you know, something that's been built by like society and like all like the rat race of always, I mean, really you'd have to hunt for your food, which would be fucking insane. You know what I mean? So if you think about going to work versus chasing down some food and like hunting it and like bringing it back, like that's fucking not easier.
Based upon like studies that I've read, like people back in the day, like that were in tribes and stuff before like we really developed farming and agriculture and these different things, like they went on hunting parties, but a lot of the time they were just kicking it. You know what I mean? Like there was a lot of downtime.
Take me back to that.
Yeah,
man.
right. There was a lot of time for sleep and naps. There was a lot of time for other things. You know what I mean? Like, and you know, so I think with the way things are now, it's and where we live specifically, you know, things got to keep moving. And we always feel like we're behind. Everybody always feels like they're behind time. You know what I mean? And I actually just watched this movie yesterday called In Time with Justin Timberlake and like some.
Yeah, I've seen that.
Yeah, and it's about like once you turn 25, you stay at the age 25 as far as your appearances go. But you then have to, from age 25 on, earn time every day, you know, or become rich and gain a lot of time. But as soon as that clock runs out, you die. So people are trying to fight to get all this time for immortality. And these corporates are like, you know, lending out time and enslaving people and keeping them poor. It's really just a, you know, analogy for what's happening really in our real existence. But it's just a different viewpoint on it being time as currency.
I mean, capitalism is a motherfucker, man. Like, I mean, when everything in the entire country that you live in is motivated by money. So it's like, we're not in a country that's motivated by morals. No. You know what I'm saying?
Morals are gone.
And that's what's fucked up, is that like that's what they want you to believe. Oh, this is a Christian country. This is like, you know, this is a moral first country. Like that's bullshit. Like, you know, it's really just money first, and people will commit atrocities for money.
Gold, oil, and drugs, man. What GOD stands for.
That's it. That's it right there, man. And it's you know, we're constantly being sold.
Yeah.
At all times.
More than ever, too. Like, it's insane how we're just attacked every day. If you have a phone, I mean, you're going to get attacked.
See, so that's that's like what
too, so
part of the whole thing, right? Is like it's like you feel like you need to attack at all times.
Yeah.
So we can't hang out if we're not attacking something.
I really struggle with this, man, because I hate it.
I hate it too.
I hate all of it, but at the same time, like I feel like I'm fucking stuck in it too. So what else am I gonna do, man?
I don't know if there's a way to like to not.
How am I not gonna play the game when I'm stuck in the game?
See, because this is the big question I ask people is like, you know, it's like, what do you really want in life? Like if you just had like all the money in the world, like if you just think, you know, okay, I'm retired now. And then it's like all you've ever done your whole life is just grind. So now like you just have to keep, like you're 80 and you like, I just gotta grind. Like
that's how my dad is. My dad's 80 because he had me at 46. So he's much older, you know, he's most grandparents' age, whatever. But he's the same way. He's like, yeah, I have to keep working. And I'm like, I can't retire yet. I'm like, he could probably. He probably could. And actually, I would say I know he could. But point being is he tells himself that he has to keep working because he knows damn well if he doesn't, what else are you going to do, man? That's what I had to call him out the other day. I'm like, bro, what are you going to do if you don't work?
Yeah.
You would have nothing. You would die tomorrow if you quit today, bro. Like, you need to have that to keep yourself going. And most people that retire, like the ratio of them that die shortly thereafter within the next 2 years is super high.
Yep.
Because you don't have a purpose no more. You know, like if you don't have a purpose, then
you're just sitting down, you watching TV and just like trying to pass the days. And
right.
Yeah, I think that I hope that young people get encouraged to just really, like, I feel like they are too with the internet and stuff like that, to like chase after passions and shit like that. Because if I fucking was able to retire from my job or whatever, like, I got lots of shit to do. I got lots of things that I don't know how to do yet that I'd love to learn how to do, and lots of like, have I call it a psychedelic mindset to look at the world in a way that's like, kind of like it's your oyster in a way. Like, there's so much shit that you haven't done. There's so many places you haven't been. There's so, like, to think that like life is mundane is crazy. So to me, if there's always a goal to like, in capitalism, it's like there is a goal to like make enough money to buy myself enough time to be able to fly to fucking Thailand and go hang out for, you know what I mean? To be like, but it's the experiences and the people in life that like make it. So, fuck the work. Like, that has to be in my mind all times. Like, this is a means to an end. Don't get it twisted. This is not your life. This is just a thing you have to do so you can live your life. And I feel like that's where we get lost in the, this is my life. My job is my life. Me making money and getting the money and paying the bills. That's my life. That's my purpose. That's what I do. When it's like, and a lot of people go around. A lot of people move around and having no passions. So a lot of people have no time to maybe find passions. They just work all day and then they watch TV and have a beer and fucking go to sleep and wake up and just do it all over again or whatever, and constantly forcing yourself to do shit that scares you. Like, I'm scared every time I do a show. Like, I get a little nervous just coming on this podcast. It scares you a little bit. You're just like, oh, okay. I don't know what's going to happen. I don't know what we're going to talk about, and like, I just feel like, meeting new friends, scary. Like, in a way, it's like, oh shit. Like, I mean, when it happens naturally is easy, but when you're like trying to make new friends and it's just like, oh, like things, and it's good because it's like building that character within you. And
for sure.
Yeah, and there's so many new things. I see you out there snowboarding and fucking. I'm just like, my girlfriend is actually a snowboarder, and she grew up. Her stepdad was like a snowboard instructor, so she's like, So I don't. I've been like one time, so I'm like, man, that's a whole thing. Like, I love to skate, so I'm like, this is a whole thing that I'm in Spokane, man. Like, I could go so many places, and I haven't even tapped into this. This is a brand new thing. Or you think different languages, you think different, there's so much shit to learn that is super interesting. And, so that's really what fuels me and keeps me like super hopeful and like excited to be alive and to be fucking young, bro. I'm 36. Like, we still youthful. We can still move around. Like,
you feel young still at 36.
Yes.
Just kind of just go in on that a little bit, man, because I need help. Sometimes I feel like I'm just so, like, I'm 34, but I be struggling sometimes with feeling like, like there's the side of me that knows I'm still really young, but then there's the side of me that really feels like I've missed so much time. So, like, how do you think about at 36 being young? Do you feel like in your 30s is like, there's a few questions I guess I'm going in on here, but do you feel like 30s is really when you start becoming actually a young man?
Yeah, I mean, that's when I was, but I've met people like, I just meet people sometimes that are like way younger, that are way more mature. Yeah. And I'm just like, man, good for you, man. Good for you.
That's what I tell them too.
Like, you just saved so much time.
Wow. Yeah, I wish I had that.
A lot of us parents too. I don't know. I can't really speak from it, but I definitely feel like, like the broken home situation and one parent, this and that, like this makes it really hard. And I feel like people, when I see people that grew up with two loving parents that were very involved in their kids' life, and maybe they didn't have too many kids to be able to like spread their attention thin, but like when you got a couple kids and you could really, give love and attention to and stuff like that, I feel like those kids they grow up like being able to communicate with their parent. Like, I don't know. They grow like they don't have to go through so much the hard way.
Yeah. I think there's a lot of truth in that. Like if you have a real loving, fostering family dynamic and parents, like you're more inclined to have a positive outlook and experience in life. Though that for some may equate to maturity, but there's also people that I've met that been through crazy stuff, and they're probably the exception to the norm from these situations. But like they're so grounded because they saw everything they didn't want to be from the time they were born,
like at a young age.
Yeah, and like we're able to see that from these people are like almost prodigies from where they're
that's
from,
what I'm
right?
thinking.
You know
like,
what I'm
that's
saying?
crazy.
Like it's so rare, but
that's like celebrate the shit out of that, because those are tough motherfucking people, man.
It's super rare, but it happens where like these people, they're able to be like, I can't, this isn't right. They inherently know it. Like, I don't want to live like this. And they're able to make the right decisions.
You see a lot of actors, famous people and shit that went through all sorts of shit. And then, it just super, like, we're like, oh yeah, I never did drugs. I never did anything. Like I saw this. I just like, And then you see the opposite too. You see like people who had everything and they had the most loving parents and they just shithead people. Like, but I feel like, you can't just like give your kids a good life and not, be hard on them in ways, and we just had Father's Day and I just wrote my stepdad in a card, like, thanks for not being easy on me. Like I didn't like him when I was younger, and it didn't need to be like that. But I do think those elements of, like discipline and like those, like the shit, like you won't learn it if like you don't get tough love.
I think for me, I'm not a parent, but my intentions for when I am a parent is to try to speak to my child and teach them critical life thinking from a very young age. Basically, as soon as they can talk, like we're going to be having critical life conversations. Like, 100%. How do you think about these things? Not trying to tell them yes or no. You know what I mean? Because I told you so. Like, I just don't, for me, see that really working for a kid, because they need to understand what's happening, and you have to try to foster their understanding from a young age. And I've been able to, have these kind of conversations with my friends' kids and stuff, to where like they'll be doing something crazy. I'll pull them to the side and I'll just sit there and talk with them for a few minutes, and then they're acting right. You know what I mean? But it's not because I'm telling them, hey, you can't do that. I'm like, yo, you're embarrassing your mom right now. She's telling you not to do something, but you want to keep doing it, and you want to embarrass your mother. Like, you start putting questions in their head.
Questions are big.
Oh, okay, I see what you're saying. Like, yeah, I didn't want to do that.
I see where a lot of people would tell.
Yeah.
Where it's like,
because I said so.
And it's like the kid is like, oh, this mini me, like he's gonna be me, like, and a lot of parents, they try to raise their kid to be them, or like those, it's like, but you're gonna be better than me, he's gonna be like me if I didn't get cut from the team, like if I did, me if I did, and it's like, yo, you gotta learn, like, understand that this is like a different person. Like, sure, this kid is like half you, but it's like they're their own person. That's how this works, So that's huge. The critical life shit is huge, because I went through school and I feel like they didn't teach me shit about real life.
No. How to deal with hard situations, like all sorts of different things, bro. Like I went through some messed up stuff in high school. No one ever took me, even no counselor even came to try to talk to me about it. You know what I mean? They knew about it, but they didn't care. So it's like, it's just crazy, man. The lack of education and actual life skills, like dealing with your emotions, dealing with hard things. Like, they don't want to teach you that. They want to teach you how to be a slave, work for the corporations. That's exactly the blueprint that's been laid out. Go to school, go to college. If you're not, you're basically going to be a failure unless you figure out how to be a gangster and take the entrepreneurial route.
And I think a lot of people in school is like, especially these older generations, like they were the bootstraps, the fucking get it, work. This is it. They couldn't fathom when I was in 9th grade that motherfuckers were going to be making millions of dollars making TikTok videos.
Right.
Crazy. If you could go back in time and they were like, oh, Zach, you got to do this. You're like, I'm gonna fucking, you have no idea. Yeah. Like I'm gonna have a job that doesn't even exist yet. And straight up, I do have a job that doesn't exist yet. Like I work from home. I do sales from home. Like that wouldn't have been something that you can do. And nothing that I would have went to college to learn, or I just figured out that you could use people skills like this, the rapping, the podcasting is like, and then sales taught me that it's like, the like psychology, which is what I'm like deeply interested in, is like the psychology of like why people think certain ways, like, and that's where those perspectives and all these things, that what makes me like that kind of like deep person in that way, is like I'm just super intrigued by that. So yeah, man, sales has taught me so much as far as, just working with people, relationships, because I come from a broken home and shit. Though my mom and my stepdad have been together for a long time, it's like, I feel like, your parents kind of show you how to be in like a functional relationship, like almost like how you were loved as a kid kind of translates on how you're able to love others.
No doubt.
And then we jump in like so much stuff before we've even like worked our shit out,
Sure,
and then
man.
we put our shit on other people, and then we gaslight them, make them feel like shit, when really it's just like
it's a reflection of you. Yeah, that's a good segue to talk about your upbringing. So were you born, raised in Spokane?
I was born in Spokane, Sacred Heart, but I was raised in Bremerton. You know where that's at?
That's on the west side, isn't it?
Yeah, it's just like a ferry ride west.
Oh, the island, right?
Yep. It's like a peninsula. It's like a fucking inlet. It's it's like you do take the ferry from like Seattle
across
to Bremerton, or you can drive, but you can't drive around like Tacoma. You take that Tacoma Narrows Bridge over there to Bremerton, like Port Orchard over that way. But it's
kind of like the Olympic Peninsula area.
Yeah, it's a Navy town.
Okay.
Yeah, it's like, so all the ships and like, so the Bangor base and stuff like that's over there. And so I grew up like with a pretty diverse place, like a lot of Pacific Islander, Filipino, black, white, like a lot of people, man, just like people from Guam. Like I was just going to school with just like so many different cultures, which was really cool. So I was like, a lot of my friends were Filipino, and so I really got to get that culture. The people that beat me up weren't white. Like I was like, it was cool to just like be not in a place. Not saying Spokane's a bad place, you know what I mean? But like, it's just not a lot of diversity, you know what I mean? No. And I feel like that really helped me grow too, and seeing people that weren't me. Like I was like the opposite of a lot of people that I hung around. Like I'm just a tall, scrawny, redheaded kid, you know what I mean? And so my whole life I was like, I don't know. It was that really like was a cool, looking back was cool. Like it wasn't cool at the time. You're just like, oh, whatever. Like these are just people. I'm just kicking it. But, the culture and stuff like that was really cool in Bremerton. And I just went back there this weekend, and I really love it over there, man. It's the west side of the state is so lush and beautiful, man. And they got the over in Bremerton, it's like right off the Puget Sound. It's got the salty air. Like it's just
the ocean air, man, is so nice. I love it over there too. Every time I go out that way, I don't think I've ever been through Bremerton. Maybe one time I went, drove through it or something.
Yeah.
But, so how long did you go to high school there too?
Yeah. So I went all the grades. It's kind of crazy, man. I just
1 through 12, K through 12,
1 through 11 and a half. And then it's like, I just dropped out at the last minute.
Oh, you did?
And then, yeah, man, I think I was craving acceptance like my whole life. Like I was like an only child. I do have a brother and a sister, but it's like they like live with my dad like in Spokane, so I would only see him like in the summer. So primarily I was just like raised as an only child, just with my mom, my stepdad, and me. That was it my whole life. So I was always craving like just like an acceptance, man. And when I got into high school, I started smoking weed because that was like getting me acceptance.
Yep.
So I could
same reason I started.
So if I have weed, then that's like people want to hang out now. And so then I could just always have $20 and I can always, have friends basically. And it was just honestly a crazy jump from, because I wasn't doing any of that in junior high. Like before I got to high school, I wasn't doing anything like that. But I was kind of like dipping my toes in as far as the culture and understanding like what was cool. Like people were talking about E-bombs and shit. I was like, oh yeah, I done E-bombs. Like I done, and I was like, what the fuck is like, It's
an E-bomb,
And so that whole like trying to be cool, like mixed with like needing acceptance from my peers, like led me down like just paths that wasted a lot of time, really, like smoking weed and like just skipping school and just doing stupid shit and just like prolonging and setting yourself back and not getting a lot of, I'm not having deep conversations. I'm not getting game. I'm not, you know what I mean? I'm just wasting time, like looking for hollow shit. So I spent a lot of my time when I was younger, just like fucking up relationships and fucking up the relationship with my parents and like just lost, man. Just lost for real. And then I went to Job Corps. And, I was like kind of like heavily dosed on Adderall. Like my parents, like I was always like kind of like they would give me Adderall all the time and shit like that. And like, so I didn't realize that was something that was kind of a little bit of a pro, big cons type of a thing. Went to Job Corps, kind of just kept fucking around. You know what I mean? I felt like my parents, like, they really helped me with like, putting me like, making sure that I didn't die, making sure that like the lights were on and shit like that. But I feel like it is hard to like parent your kids maybe in those later years and like really have a relationship because I feel like a lot of the game that I didn't get it really at all. Like when I really, really needed it, when I really needed the direction, I needed a mentor, I needed somebody to like, I didn't have it. And so it just,
I relate, dog.
So many years of just really learning it the hard way, like the accumulation of fucking up so much. you figure out what, instead of being like, oh, this is what works, do this, okay, did it, done, skip by all the bullshit. It's like I just had to keep figuring out what didn't work until you're like, well, fuck, I mean, the only thing left is this, so this must be what works.
I was the kind of person too that kept trying and making sure it in fact didn't work.
Same, man. And I just wanted to have fun when I was younger. Like I didn't care about like responsibility. I didn't even have a car. My parents wouldn't give me a car because they were just like, your grades suck, you're 16, you can't get a car. I'm like, everybody's got a car, I need a car. They're just like, you're not getting a car because you don't, your grades suck. So then I just never had a car until I was like 18, 19. And so I just like, in that case, I always kind of like consider myself like a late bloomer a little bit because I was just like I prolonged my life in a way and kind of just stalled my life out and then kind of started catching on. So like at 36 years old, I feel like maybe like I'm just getting into my 30s, you know, like mentally, like I'm really like, that's where I feel like I should be. You know what I'm saying? And that's kind of like how I feel youthfully is like, because yeah, it's just wasted time, man. It's just wasted time. And so now I'm very, I think that gratitude is something that fuels a positive life.
No doubt.
You know what I mean?
No doubt.
I know that was a lot.
No, it's good, man. I like that because, I mean, there's a lot of relativity to my life there. I mean, somehow I did finish high school, and I have no fucking clue how. Like, I don't know, bro. I was so messed up in high school after my sophomore year, really. I mean, like, freshman year, started partying, drinking a little bit, but by sophomore year, you know, smoking, drinking, drugs, like, and, you know, I always maintained, mainly because my parents forced me, you know, to maintain.
Yeah.
So in that degree, that was good, but I had no mentorship from them. It was like, you have to do this.
That's what it kind of was. Same.
And it made me rebel in a lot of ways too, you know, and, I mean, looking back, you know, I thought I was cool, but man, I was just a wreck. You know what I mean? Like total wreck, throwing away all my skills, like all the things that I could have used to further myself in life at that time. I was just shitting down the toilet. You know what I mean? Like wanted to smoke weed, hang out and drink all day. Like, and that was it. Party all day, all week. We drinking, we partying. Like, and that went on for years, you know?
And that's like that facade that you were talking about, man. It's like you want to do like, you know, if you see Rick Ross doing that, it's just because, you know, Rick Ross got a fucking he's already, the business is taken care of. Like, you don't see that. You just like, oh, I'm just going to be over here. I'm over here at the fucking corner store. Like, we drink, you know, and it's like, but what do you don't realize now? It's like, man, the flex was like having your shit together. Like, if you would have been able to pull up on everybody at the spot, like, we going to fucking, we leaving state. What do you, oh, you guys are just hanging out here drinking and smoking?
You guys
That's
are partying in Spokane. Like, bro, we're in Vegas at the top tier clubs, or we're in New York, or we're in Miami.
We're doing new shit.
Yeah, like, and that's where sacrifice comes into play. And like I failed to, and I'm still learning sacrifice, you know, but like, and the thing is like, I always knew this stuff. I always knew sacrifice gets you ahead. I always knew these things, but knowing them is not enough.
Application.
Yeah, execution, application, bro. Like, you can know everything in the world, but if you don't have the sternness to actually implement it, then it's useless.
And if you don't know yourself, I feel like that's the thing too. Like, I didn't know. I wasn't being real with myself. I was just trying to be something.
Do you think this is how I feel about it? I feel that I did know myself, but I wanted to deny myself because it didn't fit with these other people that I was around. Do you know what I'm saying?
Actually, maybe that.
Like, I knew what I needed to do. I knew who I was. I knew the things I was capable of, but I decided to be fucking stubborn against myself and what I really knew I needed to do, and be like these other friends, or be like the music we were listening to. Mainly is a big thing that happens. Like, as a teenager, you start listening to this rap music or whatever, then you think you're that rap. You think you're that rap music. You think you live in that life, and you try to live that life.
It's crazy how music affects you like that, because like, and a lot of people don't want to admit that shit, but that's for real. And it goes the other way too, man. Like, and this is just a fact. I'm just gonna say this is just a fact. Like, when I listen to like country music, like all I want to do is just like love my woman and just like be a better man, and just like, you know what I mean? Like, it does like a different thing. You know what I mean?
Sure.
It's not giving me that feeling like, bitch. It's giving me that just like, man, I just need to fucking go, you know? And it like, I need to better myself. I need to like get my, you know, like, I don't know. Something like super positive and shit like that. And,
dude, music is huge, bro. Like, how it influences you. And I mean, that's why the white man hacked rap. You know what I mean? Like, they know And that's why the prison industry invests into huge labels. They know what it does. They know it's a form of mind control. You know, Stephen Marley and a lot of big artists have all talked about this and why the music industry is very dangerous. And if it's, you know, if you're not in control of your music and you're a plant, you know, like they say nowadays, like that, like it's all intentional, you know, like, I mean,
like you're saying, like the messages, the artists, and like the kind of shit they're putting out.
Like, yeah, I mean, look at some of the artists that are major artists that are endorsed now in rap. Like, they're all promoting some crazy stuff, crazy life, like murder, drugs, and like I'm talking about murder on a whole other level than what we came up on. Like, this is like straight out blatant murder. I don't give a fuck, and I'll put it on Instagram.
Which is wild too, because like
this is not the stuff I came up on.
This is what we were talking about too.
Yeah.
Like I was talking to my girl about this too. Like, you know, it used to just be like a beef or some shit.
Yeah.
Or it's like if somebody was shooting or something, it was just like, oh, those motherfuckers don't like each other, so they were shooting. Now it's just like we're just shooting people.
Yeah,
I don't even know them. We're just shooting.
We just shooting,
like,
man.
whoa,
Yeah.
what the fuck, bro? Like,
and like Lil Durk put out his new album, and he has that one song with J. Cole. You know, have you heard that song? But basically, you know, it's him professing that he's seeking to be a better man, and you know, change his ways, basically. But then the rest of the album is just same old Lil Durk, you know what I mean? And he's from something that I could never understand. So I ain't gonna sit here and judge, but like Lil Durk has major influence in the industry, and his music is about murder most of the time. And that's because he comes from a murder cap. But, you know, it's like he knows that he's influential and he leads people and he wants to be that better person, but he can't help but be who he is because he's from where he's from.
But do you also think it's like the labels and shit that like encourage like that type of shit?
I think in certain situations, like Lil Durk, from what I know, like dude's really from it, but there's a lot of these cats that are not from it, that are acting like they're from it and endorsing this kind of stuff, but they're not really like that. And I think that's more the true essence of a plant, is somebody to fit this role.
I see.
To fit this music, you know, and
because they see what pops, like what people like. People like fucking train wrecks, man. People like I mean, you know, all the music that I try to make is like positive. Like it's like me, like when I'm writing a verse, I'm writing about like what I want to be doing, what I'm like, how
I listen to your music all day today. It's all positive, you know, positive affirmations and confirmations and just positive thinking, you know, and trying to influence a good day, you know.
That's it, man.
Yeah.
That's it.
And that's beautiful, dog. Like,
thank you, man.
That's beautiful. And that's, I love rap. I love hip hop, but it's hard for me sometimes to always continually find the positive stuff, you know what I mean? Like, and so I'm trying to be better at seeking it out, because there's something even for myself that gets attracted to some of the gangster music because it gets me motivated for some reason, but also it's the subliminal messaging that's happening when you listen to that music that's influencing negative thought patterns and negative energy that's aggressive and violent, you know? And so I'm like, as I've gotten older, I'm way more careful. But even today, I was like, I usually like watch a music video when I sit down at my desk to get motivated before I work. And I turned on a Lil Durk when he dropped a new video, and I had to turn it off. I'm like, bro, this is not positive. It's not good. All this is talking about is some really evil shit.
No, and I can never,
like,
I'll be honest, and it's hard for me to listen to any of that shit. Like I didn't really,
good, man.
I really like, it's just that kind of music, like negative shit. Like, I don't know if it's like I've built that wall up to where it's like, I can't let it, it's just like, I can't let shit in it.
It's a good wall, man.
I'll tell you one that just dropped is really good is Killer Mike's new album.
Yeah, I like Killer Mike's
so
stuff.
good, man. And it's like his, him without like the without LP and the Run the Jewels kind of a sound. So it's got like a lot of real fire. But I mean, my favorite rapper is Devin the Dude. Mm-hmm. So we just chilling, we cooling, we having a good day. Like that's and all the artists, a lot of the artists that I listen to, because I listen to other shit too. I say my favorite artist right now is La Russell. You know who that is?
Yep, I've listened to him.
So like, and it's crazy because it's not even just like it's not the songs he's making. He just been like winning me over on IG with just like almost like bar videos and like just bars where I'm just like he's giving gems and bars and he gives like, like he gives splits on his songs to like people who are willing to invest, you know what I mean? So he gives an opportunity for like, cause he own all the music, like the fans can like buy in and like own a part of the song and actually get a return on it.
That's
and then
smart.
When he does shows, it's, what's it worth to you? So he's like, we sold a ticket for $1. We sold a ticket for $250. And same with all his merch. Like, what's it worth to you? And that's his business model. It's crazy, man. And he wrote a book that's all just got like, just all sorts of different gems and shit like that. And like, that shit is like, that's what I'm taking so much game, like, and adding it to who I am. Cause that's who I'm trying to be. Cause I really know that music and all these things, like the reach and the power that it does have and being able to use that to like change people's lives. And when you've made music and people have been like, yo man, like you saved my life. Like people have told me that I saved their life, which is like more than I could have ever imagined. But even just like, yo man, you changed my life, or yo man, you just got me to think different, or to, I was listening to a lot of Lil Durk, man. A lot of this shit that was like, the shit, talented motherfuckers, right? But like, I need a message. It's crazy how the message is just, it transports you to a different place. And I want to be relatable to like a normal person who's just like working and just trying to like, maybe even it's like, you're not like in the hood, like struggling, right? Like you're actually doing okay, but you could be doing a lot better, and you're really not happy with yourself. Like you're not finding a lot of purpose. You're not finding fulfillment, which I think is the number one thing that every single person, when they're looking for anything, you're just looking for fulfillment, which is to feel full at the end of the day. Like you do a podcast and it was really good, and you're like, man, that was great. Like,
that's huge, man. Looking for fulfillment, and when you can find it, like usually a day that I do a podcast, I feel a sense of fulfillment, and it's still a habit like for me that I'm trying to break, where it's like I have to find positive music, positive messages, but that still have that like oomph to it, you know what I mean?
Killer Mike, like, go check that out. Yeah,
Killer Mike,
that shit definitely.
Ace Hood is a good one too.
Ace Hood.
Ace Hood goes hard, man. But he's always talking about his self-improvement, but his aggression that he talks about within his self-improvement through his music is just like, it resonates, So I like Ace Hood a lot.
That's dope. I haven't heard Ace Hood in a while, man. There's a lot.
Ever since he left the record label, We the Best, I mean, he went independent. His stuff has just been gold.
I love that. And see, I feel like that's what tends to happen, right? Like when you have that full creative control, then, because everybody eventually, like rich people especially, I feel like, but like people that just go through all the bad shit and actually make it out on the other end, they, it's like you see where the real gold is. Mm-hmm. Which is fulfillment, which is where do we get fulfillment from? Like we get it from other people, we get it from our passions and the activities that we do, and like a lot of it is people. I feel like a lot of it is like when you have like good people in your life that you could be just like, man, like, and that's one thing about having a kid is like when you have a kid, it's like so like not about you anymore, you know what I mean? And so it gives you this just like, when you get to go home and he's happy as hell, like you're just like, man, like I'm I'm lucky, man. I'm so lucky. And like, I feel like every day that you can say like, man, I'm lucky, and not just take it for granted and just be like, oh, it's Tuesday, man. It's not Friday yet. I'm trying to get a day off. It's like, we be in the rat race so much that you get a day off, you don't even know what the fuck to do with yourself. You're just like, all I do every day is work.
Yeah.
What do I do? I don't even know how to chill, you know? And that's how I feel. Like I'll have a whole Saturday. If I don't have some shit planned, if I don't have things like, I got something that I need to do, like things mapped out, I don't know what to do with myself. I'm like, it's just like, hey man, just relax. You got a whole day, do whatever you want. I'm like, I can't.
Yeah.
I gotta be productive, you know? But it's really, I just need that I need to do something that's going to fulfill me. I need to sit down at the end of the day and be like, you know, I earned this. Like, I feel good about just watching 2 episodes of Black Mirror right now. Like, I feel good just watching this game right now and doing nothing, because man, I handled my shit, and I didn't only just made some money. I did some shit that I was passionate about. I got a little exercise. Like, it really is like this crazy balance of all these things. Do you work out?
Yeah.
Like, that's like a big one for me, is like, if I don't do that, then shit just feels out of whack.
Oh, know? For sure, man. Like, yeah, if you like, for me, if I don't work out, my brother said it well the other day. He's like, I just get weird. Like,
I just get weird.
Yeah. Like, I'm just going to get weird, dude, if I don't work out. And so, yeah.
So how many people are walking around like that all the time? And you're like, that guy's weird. It's like, that dude don't work out.
High percentage, man, of people don't exercise. So
I feel like that's like a part of the masculinity thing too. Like, a lot of that, like, you know, that's where a lot of you get that aggression out. Like, get a lot of that fucking, like, you need. Bro, and when people are just you think the fact that people are walking around, they don't work out, and they just are holding all that shit in, bro.
Yeah.
That's scary, bro. That's fucking school shooter shit right there or something. I don't know. That's some fucking scary shit. Like, you need to fucking exhaust yourself of that.
Right. For sure, man. I mean, people find other ways, but there's nothing that's going to be more beneficial than physical training.
Nobody's going to be able to ever convince me that it's like, oh, I don't have to work out. You know what I mean?
You don't have to.
But I mean, like,
but you should.
I mean, or exercise, I should say. Like,
nobody has to do anything, right? Is the argument, is all but I agree with you. Like, you should, man. Like, 100%. You should. And I would argue that, yes, you should have to. You know what I mean? Like,
I mean, you just, like, it's almost like if you are, then it's like, you know, you would be better off than you knew you would be. And I can confidently say that. I just met somebody's son who just told me, man, this is somebody's grown ass son, man. I'm not gonna put anybody on blast, but I met somebody's grown ass son, man. He said, I don't brush my teeth. I said,
that one got Brent.
I was like, you don't brush it. He said, actually, I wish I could just pull them all out and get fake teeth so I don't have to. This is somebody's kid, bro. You know what I'm saying?
Goodness,
so it's like, you know, when you see things go like another way, it's like, yeah, I mean, you don't have to brush your teeth.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? But if you don't, then it's like, you know what I mean? Like, you don't have to work out, but then you're going to get to a point where you're like, shit, I wish I did.
100.
I wish I fucking, damn,
That's
bro.
a great fucking point.
And that was wild. That was an eye-opening thing to me. I was like, I've never heard anybody, and he was gung-ho about it. He was like, I'm for real. Like, if I just knock all these out, just put some dentures in, dude, I would never have to worry about it. I was like, that's fucking wild, bro. So those people exist, man. But I feel like, you know,
I have to be around myself, but I have to be around others that need to exercise too. Like, I can't be around other people that aren't into exercise, like, cause like whether it's my partner or whatever, you know what I'm saying? Like, you have to be into exercise. Like, people that I rock with, like, they exercise, they do some, we either snowboard, which, you know, we get there's actually a lot of exercise in snowboarding, but, you know, whatever it is, like, you mainly, and I'm listening to David Goggins' book right now.
Legend.
What's the book called? Blanking right now, but either way, I'll think of it. But, basically he's talking about physical training. The way he relates to it is the same way that I developed my mindset to it, not to the degree this guy is taking it, because the dude is a monster, but basically, like, it toughens your mind every day. You do physical training, you become tougher mentally. And if you can consistently do it, then you callous your mind to the other hardships of life, because you're constantly putting yourself in a discomfort, And like, one other thing I do for discomfort every day is cold showers in the morning. Like, so it's
really,
yeah, every day. And
the
I've
whole
been
thing?
not every time. Usually I'll start off warm, but then at the end I turn it to the coldest it can be, and I'll do it for at least 3 minutes.
Oh my God, 3 minutes.
Usually longer. And I do another thing where I give myself a brain freeze at the end. I'll just hold my head under until it's to the point where I can't take it anymore, and then I turn it off.
And what does that do for you? Like, when
just
you leave
wakes
that?
me the fuck up, man. Like, and if I'm feeling groggy, like from waking up, or if I'm feeling tired, like, I'm up after that. So I don't really need coffee, because of that too, because that cold shower is just like, it jolts me up. I don't hardly ever get sick.
Like, what's the advice, like, that you would have for somebody that's like, wants to like cross that barrier of discomfort in that way? Because I've done the cold showers where I'm like, yo, man, I'm just gonna turn it on at like 30 seconds in that cold shower. I'll just hold it. I can do it. 3 minutes. I'm thinking like, yo, like, that's crazy to like my brain, but it's a mental block, right?
Yeah, it's mental for sure. The biggest thing for me too is like, from physical like training, working out, like, I'll hit different parts of my body that I was, training the day before, because they'll be sore. That cold water is really good for your muscles. You won't be sore afterwards. And so it really helps with your muscles. It helps with your mental clarity in the morning, and it helps just wake you up. But it also just helps toughen you up for the day. You know what I mean?
It's good for you too, right? Like, I feel
super good
like
for
actually
you.
good for your body. Like,
oh yeah, it helps. It releases different chemicals. It helps with all sorts of different things. Wim Hof is the one that originated this kind of theory,
fucking
basically.
ice god,
and now
man.
they have all this science backing him, and they do tests on him and other people for these kinds of things. Now everybody's doing, ice baths and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah, I think I've seen I think it, reduced inflammation. Like, there was a lot of like,
that's why it's good for your muscles and your joint, like the reduce of the inflammation.
So it's kind of like when you're in there and you're making that decision to do it, in your brain that it's helpful in so many ways that's worth it. I'm just trying to put myself in the position of Bobby, who didn't take cold showers, and then Bobby, who's like, I'm gonna take cold showers.
Yeah, I don't even know, man, like what it was like before anymore. Because I mean, it's probably been like 6 years now, honestly, and I do it every day. Like, it's been so long, I don't even know. The days that I get in the shower and the thought that creeps up, like, I don't want to do it today, I just laugh. I just laugh, like, it's gonna happen, bro. Like, the mind. A lot of days that I have that thought, like, I don't want to do it, but I just laugh, like, what's happening. It's going to happen.
Because this is something that I'm feeling like I feel like I need this in my life.
Dude, it'll help if you're working out. You'll love it for that reason alone. Too, it jolts you awake. And, like I said, it just builds up that calloused mind kind of idea that David Goggins talks about, is about nobody wants to do that. It doesn't feel good. Some days it does feel good. It's a weird, twisted way that it feels good, because it's like the pain feels good. Some days you're like welcoming the pain. Some days you're like, this really sucks.
It's a lot like working out, it sounds like. Like, that's kind of how it is too. Like, sometimes you just fucking love it, and then sometimes you just, but the big part I know with working out, at least, is like, you have to do it when you don't want to do it.
Yeah.
And so that's, and then, like you said, you get calloused, and then the days you don't want to do it aren't so hard to do it.
I have a good question. I think that it's something that I've been thinking about lately a lot more. Like, what do you think? What is your perception of what a man is and should do in life? Like in a general concept, what is your image to attain being a man to you?
Yeah, I mean, that's kind of a tough question because I really do feel like it's not like I'll never put a man in a box. You know what I mean? Of what, like.
That's what I'm saying to you. Like, what do you feel for yourself are the things you have to do to be the man you want to be? Like, what are some of those ideas that you think of like, this is what I want to do, or this is what I am doing too, to be the man I want to be?
I have to live. You have to live in constant gratitude, because it's just like everything can get tied back to some like corny saying, you know, like like you only live once, or live every day like it's your last, and like all these things. But being in constant gratitude of being like, man, like people are dying like every day. Like people are like getting robbed of their life like every day. Like, you know, things are happening every day, unfortunate shit. So if you're in a space where you have the ability to live and get better, then, you know, you should be grateful for the moments that we have. And I think that discipline is a big one that probably like one of the biggest ones I've struggled with, I think, because it's really easy to take the easy route and to like lie to yourself.
Yeah.
And to tell yourself that you're doing the right shit when you're not doing the right shit. And I guess when you kind of put it in a perspective for me, it was kind of crazy. You were talking about like the whole time you knew. And it's like, I actually like really feel that, because it's like, you know what you're supposed to be doing. And I feel like that's another thing that all people should do, is to kind of, if you have it, as I don't know everybody, but if you have this kind of, I feel like a lot of people have an inner compass, you know, like a conscience, you know, whatever you want to call it, but like, you know what you should be doing, right? A lot of times, or you know what you shouldn't be doing. So I feel like following that intuition, and also always being kind to people in giving people the benefit of the doubt. I feel like you should always give people the benefit of the doubt. I'm not saying that if somebody fucks you over, you should give them the benefit of the doubt. But like when you initially meet somebody, don't let a previous experience with somebody else interfere with a new experience with some new person. And now,
I agree with that.
You know, and that's like
I agree with all of them.
Big thing in relationships, big thing with friendships, big thing with just, you know, and I feel like that's what this society does, is it just kind of like generates our brains to be kind of callous, to like already be making assumptions and things like that, where, you know, we got to stay curious and we got to give people the benefit of the doubt. And I mean, it does suck. You just have to like trust people. And then if they fuck you over, then you have to just note that on the fucking report card of a person, and just be like, yo, I mean, cause like we're walking, like all we really have is our reputation, you know? And like, so that's one thing to me that was really huge, was reputation, showing up on time, you know, because you can ruin that reputation real quick, you know.
Yeah.
You could be a dick, and a lot of people's, you know, or unreliable, or, you know, this dude's fucking untrustworthy, or, you know, that, and you could do one thing and now that's your reputation. So I think that when you lead with kindness, you lead with curiosity, you lead with like a lot of just wanting to give people the benefit of the doubt. I feel like that right there really just helps you it helps you appreciate every day, because every day is a new day. And I feel like one thing that people get caught up in is every day is just kind of feels like the same day. It's just day after day. It's like, I mean, really this life is just a series of a whole shitload of days. And so like, we're just like a blank canvas trying to paint that. And so, you know, to just, when we start assuming that tomorrow is going to be like yesterday, that's when we fucked up. Because you could die today, and you know what I mean? Like, think about, this is kind of, you know, crazy, but like, think about the people that, like, if somebody died today, like say like car accident or something, like, to really put yourself in their shoes and be like, this dude or this woman or whoever didn't wake up thinking, I'm going to die today. It just happened.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? They were thinking, I'm going to fucking be alive for fucking 70, 80, 90 more years. Like, I'm going to be alive for a long ass time. And then something happened to them, you know? And so just that's the kind of shit to me where I'm just like, you got to be reminding yourself of that, or else you're taking it for granted. You know what I mean? You're taking it for granted. And that is the biggest waste of time, because like I said, it's like not a destination. Like this is it right here. These moments right here is what matters. So that's, I feel like, and integrity, that's probably one of the biggest ones, right? Like just doing the right thing, like when nobody's watching what you're doing, you know, and just doing the right thing. And like when you graduate from, you know, if I was a little shit, like I used to steal from stores, I used to steal from people, I used to steal, like I didn't have integrity. And so when I was able to learn that, you know, and I don't know, like a lot of people believe in God, a lot of people believe in karma, what goes around comes around, whatever you believe in, right? Like, I just feel like if I'm doing the right things, like what I'm supposed to do, it, you know, doesn't need to be like, you know, the things that are making me like better every day. Like I'm not perfect, right? But like if I'm leading with my heart, like I'm having grace, I'm admitting when I'm wrong, I'm curious, I'm kind, I'm you know, going out of my way to help people when, you know, it's not necessarily convenient or not necessarily benefiting me, right? Like you're like doing that kind of stuff kind of ensures me that I'm going to have a good life in my mind, because I know I'm putting out that energy into the world, that good giving energy. And they say you got to give to receive. So that's like another thing. Like I just want to give. Like if you read any sales books or anything like that,
I've read a few.
It's like, you know, it's, yeah, like the way you receive is to give.
Yeah.
And so.
You gotta give more value than, the more value you give, the more you're gonna sell, basically.
That's right. And like you were saying, like sacrifice, like that's, you have to understand that when you're sacrificing for other people, like it'll come back to you. So when you're constantly focused on getting it to come back to you right now, it's like the people who are patient, the people who give without wanting anything in return, are the people who receive the most. At least that's what I believe, you know. I don't have statistics, obviously. I don't know everybody, but that's been rewarding to me, and that's worked totally for me. And it's brought me, and maybe it's just a perception thing, but my life has improved in just as soon as I stopped lying to myself and just started giving. And it's always a constant thing. It's all these things are constant things: the workouts, the cold shower, the being kind, the checking your emotions. Like all these things are things that's just like easy to say. But when you got 8 plates spinning and you're trying to just keep them all spinning, and then one's wobbling, and you're trying to just like it is a constant just trying to keep them all balanced for every day. It's incredibly difficult and crazy that we just look at people and just have expectations. That'd be another thing I'd say about men, women, everybody. Get rid of your expectations. Stop expecting shit, and you'll stop being disappointed. Like start just, you know, like just do the right shit. Like you don't. I don't have to worry so much about like, oh, you know, if I work out, I do this. It's just like, I'm just gonna work out and trust the process, and what will be, what, you know, I know I'm doing the right shit.
Yeah, man. I like that. So there's an ancient book from Hinduism called the Bhagavad Gita. And I'm probably pronouncing it a little wrong, but it's the Bhagavad Gita. I think that's pretty close to how you say it. But basically, you know, this book is thousands of years old.
Wow.
Before the Bible, like way, way before.
Whoa.
I think it was written about 5,000 years ago or so.
Holy shit.
But Krishna is teaching this warrior life lessons throughout the book. That basically this warrior comes to Krishna and he's conflicted because he's about to go to war with somebody that he used to be friends with and stuff. And they had a family dispute and now they're going to war. And he's looking for advice from Krishna. And so it goes on this whole life lessons from Krishna, these things that you should do in life to be a man. But one of them is like to take action with no attachment to the outcome. You doing it because you know you need to do it and it's the thing that you should do. But there is no attachment to any result that you're hoping is going to happen from doing the right thing.
Wow.
Or from doing the thing you're supposed to do. And this is ancient wisdom, ancient book, and it's exactly kind of what you're talking about. And that's how I think about a lot of things as well. And I'm starting to learn more about that as the type of man I want to be is like, I used to work out for different reasons, not because it was the hard thing for me to do, but because, I want to look good or I want to be physically fit or I want to feel better. I want to, the feel better probably was a big one. I used to do it because I wanted to feel better, hopefully, whether it was the, confidence in the way I looked or these different things or my performance in soccer, snowboarding. Like, dude, I work out now just because it's what I'm supposed to do and it's the hard thing to do. And I don't do it for any other reason now. And then the release of these attachments to these other things that I want to have from me doing this thing, it doesn't, it's helped me relieve the fight in my mind in a way of like why I'm doing this. Why am I going to the gym today? Oh, because I want to feel good. Oh, because I want to look better or no, because now it's just because it's the hard thing to do.
Yeah.
When you remove all those other attachments to these like personal gains really is what it is. Like you're thinking of the personal gains that you're going to get. And I don't even mean that like personal gains. I just was saying that just as in, right? You know what I'm saying? Like it wasn't a pun. I'm just saying your personal gains of these things you think you're going to go do something and what you're going to benefit from it. But when you just doing it because it's the hard thing to do and it's the thing you need to do, then you've entered into a different realm of like how you take action on things. Yeah. And at least that's how I feel. I feel the difference, because before, I'd have to like come up with all these reasons to convince myself of why I was going to the gym, essentially is what I'm saying. Now it's just like, it's because it's the hard thing to do, bro.
And you really think about it, like I said, like the teeth analogy is so funny because it's like you're not like, oh, why you brush your teeth, man? Because I'm gonna get the whitest teeth, bro. I'm about to get my teeth about to be so white. People gonna notice. They're gonna be like, oh shit, he got white teeth. No, you do it because you're like, man, I gotta take care of myself. This is something I gotta do. And it's like, just think about like flossing your teeth. How many people are like, I ain't gonna floss my motherfucking teeth, but it's like, I know, like that's just a different hard thing to do. Like, fuck, that's so easy to not do, but I just gotta do it because I gotta take care of myself. And I know that this is what this is good for me. And doing things that are good for you, even if it doesn't feel right at the moment or it's not the most convenient thing, that like the working out shit, man, brings you fucking probably just fulfillment deep in your life. You know what I mean? You look good, you feel good. All the things that you were doing it for before are, and then it's the hard thing to do. So it's helping you in your day.
You're still going to get those things, but like you're not attached or expecting them. Like, they exist, right? But like, it's not like the driving factor necessarily. Like they exist and you're aware of them. But your attachment, because what I think happens for me is like those things are only going to drive me for so long. But one thing that will never cease for me is wanting to step up and do the hard things in life that I know I need to do.
Yep.
But when it's about myself and my looks and these superficial things, really is what it comes down to. I think working out to feel good, like internally, is important. Because that's where it all starts from. You need to feel good inside, and man, I struggle with that every day. You know what I mean? Like you said, every day it's a battle. Or every day you're trying to balance these plates that are spinning. And that's, every day is a battle for me. Every day is a battle to try to feel good. Most days I don't feel good. You know what I mean? I have to fight every day to try to get to a place where, like, all right, I feel better than when I woke up this morning. Some days I fail, some days I succeed, but the thing about me is, like, I try every day. You know what I mean? Like, there's not hardly a day that I give up on me believing or trying to become a better person and feel better about who I am and what I'm trying to do in this life.
And when you've wasted a lot of time in life, I feel like that's something that really helped. You know what I mean? Like, like you and me have both kind of been there where it's like you've wasted a lot of time. Now it's like, I'm going to do the hard shit because there's not time to waste.
Yeah.
Now I'm 36, man. Like, when you're really looking at your life, you're like, man, wow. Like, when I was fucking younger, 36 was like, you're like a grown up. Like, you're a fucking old person. Like, you're coming to hang out with my parents. Now I'm that guy, but I don't feel like that. You know what I mean? I feel like, and really I feel like that's obviously what keeps people young and shit too. It's just, how you feel. So, like, having these things set up in your life, like, if you have a kid, like, your kid's gonna, have a dad that's already worked out a lot of his shit and has great, habits and things set in place to where, I feel like a lot of people get into stuff and they ain't figured out yet, so to have that figured out and to know that you're, I'm doing these things because this makes me a more well-rounded person. And this is what I need. Like, and to also understand that, like, we're not going to feel good every day.
Yeah.
We're not going to win that battle every day.
No.
And that's okay. Right.
Yeah. That's okay. That's the one thing that I've also been learning and coming to terms with. Like, these negative emotions, they're okay. Like, it's all right, dude. Like, you're a human. Yep. Like, this constant perception that people somehow are out there living their lives perfectly and attaining success at such levels that we could never. It's not that. It's, these people have same kind of emotions, same kind of things.
Literally social media, man. It's just like, or what TV was before. Like, it just looks like this, but it doesn't matter, man. Like, people got fucking $80 million in the bank account, fucking blow their brains out, dude. Like, it doesn't, and that's the big thing, I think, in America, with capitalism driving everybody. People think, oh, if I get money, I'll be happy. So that's not it at all.
That's something that I've, and that's a big point of what I've been working through in my life is, like, how do I find value within myself and not externally by what I do and what I attain and what I have?
Yeah.
And that's a hard one. Like, that's, it's hard because we're so intrinsically trained to believe our value comes from what we create, what we own, how much money we have.
Yep.
And so for people Americanized, like what we've grown up in, to separate and to see your own value and detach it from your external materialism is very difficult. It's a constant battle, to see yourself as myself. My being is of value, and it's of immense value. But they have us so trained that we don't hardly ever really see that, and so we're always seeking our value externally. And it's hard. I don't completely understand how to separate it. At times I can feel like okay with just myself, but then I look at these other things where maybe I'm failing based upon world standards, whatever, and it brings me down. You know what I mean? It makes me not feel that value. So
and that's like the shame right there.
The shame, right?
Because it is for real. Like, you, like, that first feeling that you have, is like, I don't know, it's like hippie shit, man. It's like this is like that's it. That's the good shit. Like, it's like no expectations of me, no expectations, other than the golden rule type shit that we were talking about. Just be a good person, do that type of shit.
Yeah.
Other than that, it's like, yo, like, I just want to be happy. So if I'm happy, like, if you can be happy broke, then you can be happy anytime, and I feel like that's a big one, and money does bring happiness, like, don't get it twisted, like, but
that's what I say too, man.
It
like,
does.
I don't care what you're talking about, money does bring happiness.
It does,
but it's not gonna bring fulfillment, like in the essence of like it's gonna. So this, I guess this is more what I mean, like, you still gonna have problems when you got money, you still gonna suffer. You're probably just not going to suffer the same types of things that you were suffering before when you were broke. The suffering, it's going to change.
Yes, well,
your challenges are going to change in life, but life is always going to present challenges. There's no place in life you will ever get where you will not suffer. That's just life.
And that's that weird oasis that I feel like a lot of people feel like they're going to get to.
Yeah. It's and like, you may be there for a short time. You probably can attain short periods of time. But like, even like I've read a lot of books on, like I said, Hinduism, Buddhism. Enlightenment is not this place where you do not suffer. It's where you accept life is suffering. And that puts you above the suffering, essentially. Like you still suffer, but you're not attached to that suffering. You don't identify your being with the suffering you're encountering.
You just accept that it exists.
Yeah, it's just I'm suffering and it's okay. This is a part of my existence.
And I kind of do the same thing with just understanding that, well, first off, I'm going to need some book recommendations after this.
Yeah.
But like that there is just going to be shitty people. Because if there's going to be great people, there's got to be shitty people, and because if there's going to be winners, there's got to be losers.
Yeah.
And that's it. So if there's going to be positive emotions, there's going to be negative emotions.
Yeah.
And really it's like how we're able to react and how we're able to persevere, man. And so like, I don't know, man, that's what this is all about. And I just hope that like these types of messages can reach people that are younger and can save time.
Yeah, save time, or even those going through it right now that are our age and anybody going through it. Like just to have, hopefully shift their perspective, if it needs to be, or whatever, what I'm trying to say. Basically just like it might open their eyes to a different way of looking at their suffering is really what I'm trying to say. And, I think it's good to be in tune with yourself and examine yourself and the suffering. But I also have been coming to find that it's not too good to go too deep, because really at the end of the day, you know what you need to do. So just do it.
Yeah.
Because I've gotten caught in so many wormholes, like where I go too deep into my feelings and my emotions, and then I get analyst paralysis and I'm not taking action on the things I know I need to do.
And that's huge.
And at the bottom line, like, I think for some of the attributes that I see myself in being a man is, one is like consistently do the things you know you need to do.
100%.
Consistently. You're not always going to do it, but if you consistently do it, that's what being a man is. But a lot of people who should be men around us are not, because they consistently don't make the right decisions for themselves or their family, but yet they're the ones that want to be the loudest about being a man, and you can see the dysfunction that's all around us with a lot of men in our communities. But then you have men that are real leaders, and when you look at them and look at their lifestyle and what they do, they consistently do the things that they need to do.
Yep.
That's that, and so and the other thing is like be effective on how you communicate about emotions and your suffering. Don't complain about your suffering. It's okay to communicate about suffering, because we need to as men to help, challenge each other, uplift each other, and move each other forward. But you don't want to be wallowing in your own suffering. Like you have to, as a man, toughen up and move forward. You know what I mean? And it's okay to be down. I'm not saying we can't be down. I'm not saying that you're going to have that day where you're totally broken, but pick yourself up.
Yeah, it doesn't mean don't have that day.
Yeah, it doesn't mean that, but it don't stay down there.
Yeah, it means like you have to bounce back. You have to like let shit ricochet off of you. Like we are like super fucking human, and I feel like a lot of it like is, you know, where they say when you're working out and shit, they say like, you know, your body can do way more than your mind thinks it can do.
That's what the David Goggins book is really all about. His Navy SEAL training. And it's insane what he describes and the things he went through. And I think that book is called Can't Hurt Me. Pretty sure that's what it's called.
Okay.
I'm listening to the audio book, and I was listening to it on the way down here. And he had to go through SEALs training 3 different times because he got kicked out because of medical reasons each time. Like he had pneumonia the first time. The second time he like broke his kneecap in half.
And kept running and shit.
Yeah, and then like, the third time he had broken legs, but
that's what it was.
He still finished
That's what it was, the broken legs.
Yeah, he had like splintered. Yeah, just crazy. Dude's a monster. So I'm really interested in the conversation of masculinity, what it looks like to be a man these days, and the different views on how each of us see that, you know, because I think it's really important.
I think what you just said too, just handling your shit, like doing what you know you got to do and doing it every day, even when you don't want to do it. That's like really like one of the most basic ways to put that shit. And that's anything that you know is going to better yourself, and making the decision to better yourself rather than taking the decision that might feel better now, but it's the thing that's going to ultimately not push you. It's not going to push you forward. It's not going to add character. It's not going to callous you to that tough time. Because if you're familiar with tough times and you get thrown out on your ass, you're going to be able to handle that a lot better, because you know what struggle is, you know what pain is, you're familiar with this, and you know how to handle it and how to, knuckle down and like just get through it. And you know that when bad times are coming, good times are coming, you know, and as long as you keep doing the right thing, the clouds clear up, the sun comes out, and we good to go.
Yeah.
You know, so man, I've been picking up a lot of game from this conversation, man. This is great.
Me too, man. It's been flying. I want to get back to your upbringing. How'd you end up in Spokane?
Yeah, it's kind of wild, man, because I've always come here in the summer, so it was always like, you know, I'll be in Bremerton, going to school, all that. Which weird. Me and my girl were just talking about, it's kind of fucked up. Like for a kid, like you get summer break. As soon as summer break hits, it's like they'd ship me over here to Spokane, and I'd be hanging out with my dad, where it's like I didn't really have any friends and stuff like that. And it's like all you want to do as a kid during summer break is hang out with your friends. And so I would come here, and it would always be kind of, you know, weird. Like, okay, Spokane. Like Spokane was always really cool to me. Like over in Bremerton, which is way smaller than Spokane, they had a waterfront park, but then when you come to Spokane, they got a riverfront park, and and Riverfront Park was always been hard as hell. Like, you know, like and while you come here, I'm just like, they always had the pavilion, which is like that landmark. Always like as a kid, it stood out. But I did, you know, I learned, I got into sales basically. Okay. And so, I moved to Seattle to do sales, and then I moved to Utah, and then I met a guy when I was selling in Utah, that was like, hey man, like I want to make you a manager, like we get, you know, XYZ, like we're going to Spokane. I was like, Spokane? Like I just came from like that area. Okay, like all right, back to Spokane. So I went to Spokane, lived here for a little while. I actually got like a little bit more, you know, like of an adult perspective on Spokane, which was cool. And then I made a leap of faith and moved to New Jersey, and just like left Washington and was just like, I'm gonna go live in New Jersey and chase this sales thing, try to make some money. Like I'm young, I can like it'll be good for me, you know? So we drove like my vehicle, like all the way to Connecticut is where it was at first, and then New Jersey, and then stayed there for a couple years, did sales, got like the whole East Coast kind of experience, which was really nice. Got to see New York and a lot of places over there. And then And then just ended up coming back to Spokane, man. And or actually, I went back to Seattle, and I was going to do another sales job. My buddy was like, "All right, man, like I'm just gonna get you a plane ticket back here to New York City, and like get you a sales job. Like this is where the money's at." Da 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 da. I was like, "All right, cool." Like I had another buddy who was like trying to send weed in the mail or something. I was like, "Okay, we can't fuck around with that. Like we gotta no plane ticket. All right." And then I was like, I had some friends that were in Spokane that were gonna be driving to New York City. So for some reason, I was just like, man. Like, listen, I got like 2 cars here. I'm gonna drive my car over to Spokane, drop it off, hop in the car with these guys, come to New York. Well, I drove my car to Spokane, and it ran out of gas in Cheney. And so I had somebody pick me up. It was on the side of the road. My car, I couldn't get it out. It was got put in the fucking lot where I had to pay all this money to get it out. And then I missed the ride to go to fucking the East Coast, and I just fucking never left, bro. That was it. That was it. I was like, I'll be real.
So you literally just got stuck.
That was it. I just got stuck in Spokane, and I was like, and then life just happened, and then I don't know. When you're from like these areas, you don't appreciate them as much. I was just like, oh, Spokane, for the longest time. And but that's kind of how I ended up here. And I had actually when I was in before I had drove over to catch that ride to the East Coast, I had actually reached out to Matisse because like we did sales together and had disconnected, and then I like heard a song that he did, and I was like, yo, this is crazy. This is crazy good. This dude's got flavor. Like I like what this guy's doing. He's got bars. Like this is sick. And so I hit him up and was like, hey man, like I know this song's like out already, but like could we like do another version where like I get a verse and we could do something? And he was like, yeah, sure, fuck, dude, all right. Like and then I ended up getting stuck here, and then one thing led to another, and that's when I started rapping with Matisse back in it was 2012.
2012.
Yep.
When did you start rapping in your life? Like when did that originate?
16, man. It was crazy.
16.
Yeah. Weed and rapping came. I never really drank ever when I was a kid or anything like that. It was always like just weed that was the thing. And like I had a friend that just put me onto weed, and that same friend also put me onto underground hip hop. So like hieroglyphics, Jedi mind tricks, binary star, just like Mos Def, like just like dope, Black Alicious, just real lyrical shit where I would, the cool thing was to like, we would just smoke and just listen to these dudes fucking just with these complex bars, like painting pictures with their lyrics and shit. And I was just like, this is crazy. And then he kind of, this was kind of like LimeWire days, Kazaa, fucking Napster, whatever, like we were ripping instrumentals. So it's like any big rap song, you could take the instrumental. Yep. So we just had all these instrumentals. And so that just became a whole game. You smoke a little bit, and then we just trying to rap. We just trying to, freestyle. And like, that was just this whole like, just fun thing. I never thought for a second, I'm going to try to be a rapper. I'm going to really do this. I was just like, this is crazy. Like, just trying to smoke and rap and like, and then
fun with it.
And it never left, man. It never left. It just, that right there, I don't even know. Nobody gave me the confidence to say like, oh, you can write good, or I just was like writing and just probably just thinking, like never thinking anything of it, never thinking about performing a show or even rapping it to somebody. It's crazy. It's like, I don't know, it was wild. Like it's kind of crazy when I think back, because I was like, damn bro, any of those raps, like when you were writing them, were you like spitting them for your friends? And I don't think I was. I think I was just keeping them in notebooks and just writing them and not really telling anybody. And then when I went to Job Corps, that was the pro about Adderall, is that I would be on the Adderall all the time. So when I'd be on Adderall, is like, instead of doing like what I was supposed to do at Job Corps, like I did get my high school diploma there, but then it was like really like all I was really doing was like, I'll be fucking getting high on this Adderall, which is like cocaine basically. And I'm just like, and so I'd just be laser focused, and I would just write pages pages of lyric. I would just be sitting there with fucking all these instrumentals in my head. At that point, it was like 2007, so there were so many instrumentals. Like it was just like there was DJ Khaled instrumentals. There was just all the instrumentals. So it was like a playland of fucking instrumentals that I could just write all these different things to. And a lot of these instrumentals, I hadn't even heard the real songs. Like these were popular songs, but I never heard the songs before. Lil Wayne song, shit like that. I had never heard the song. I heard the instrumental first. So I didn't have like a pre thing that was already in my head.
Right.
And that's really when it just all the passion for writing music came about. And then, so it had been with me for a long time, man, but never put the pieces together until I met Matisse, to be honest.
Yeah, so, because that was one of my questions. How did your relationship with Iyzlow Matisse form? So you guys met in sales, and then...
Yeah, just a cool dude, like, cool guy, like, what up, man? Cool, all right, like, no different than anybody else. Like, yo, what's up? Like, I just met you, say, cool guy, sweet. And then I went to the East Coast, and we just didn't talk, and then came back, and somehow, it's just social media, Facebook or something. I saw Mike had a song out or something. I was like, what? And then like, when we actually, like, linked up, it was just, it all starts for the, like kind of the wrong reasons, like we were talking about, like you just smoking and drinking and partying, and music is just kind of a thing there, but really we're just partying and just trying, and lost, really no direction, not being serious about the music, not being tactful, not doing it for the right reasons, just kind of just fuckery, just trying to be a rapper, which was, in my opinion, is like the wrong reason to do it, because my message was lost. You know what I mean? Yeah. Like the shit I was writing about, like you're writing the things that you think that you should be writing about.
Yeah, yeah. Like if you're trying to be a rapper, then you don't have a message.
100%.
But if you got a message and you rap, it's different.
I just wanted to rap, and I didn't have like it was like, a lot of times it was just like, oh, gangster rap was like a big thing, right? So it's like, well, I didn't grow up in like a tough place. Like I can't, what am I going to rap about? And it took me a while before kind of developed that almost like motivational speaker rap is almost what I fucking...
I love that, man. I think there needs to be way more rap out there like that. And I've thought, and I've written some music lyrics and stuff, and like if I ever were to do music, it would be about self-growth and like facing those personal hard times and how you overcome them. Like if I were to do music, that's what my message would be about. You know what I'm saying?
And that's kind of what it is for me too. It's just like a unique thing. It's like I've never let go of like, I really never let go of the alcohol or the weed, and those things have been this sounds fucked up, but these things have been like instrumental in like my happiness, in the sense of finding, like when I said it was like these things that I use are like a tool in my life. So I've done a lot of other things too that were very counterproductive, and alcohol and weed have both been counterproductive in my life. And but I also found that there were tools that I could use to lube up my instrument, to be able to get across my message, and not only that, but to just like have a lot of fun with it. You know what I mean? So like, I don't know, man. I never really been a big partier or like going out to clubs. Honestly, I have like a lot of social anxiety a lot of the times. Like when it comes to just even being a rapper, there's a lot of like, you got to be out with the people. You got to be mingling. There's like a lot of things that like, that's not me at all.
Yeah, yeah.
I just love to rap, and then so now I've been accepting kind of these.
Yeah. But I don't know. I mean, do you have to? Because like, once again, like society tells us all these things, but like how much of it really is true, a lot of times. And like, I was listening to Logic the other day, and he was getting interviewed, and he's like, yeah, I don't fuck with anybody.
Yeah.
He's like, I'm inside literally all the time. I go to shows, I go home, I'm with my wife, my new dog, and my homies, and I stay inside. I don't even go outside, literally. Like, he's just like, go, you know what I mean? And dude obviously made it, like, for real. So,
no, I mean, I definitely,
but
you gotta, I do think that there's 100%, it's a personality thing, right? Like, I don't want to go out to just go out because I feel like I got to go out.
Exactly,
but
right.
I also feel like there's a huge part of, like, if it scares you, you should probably do it.
Do it. Yeah, I agree.
So getting on stage is like something that would, like, dude, like, it's crazy. Like, I would be nervous for a week if I knew I had to, like, give a presentation in front of the class to, you know, a science project or whatever the hell it was. You know, if I had to read something in front of people, I was like, oh shit. Like, I wasn't one of those, like, social butterflies who was like, put me in, coach. I'll go up there. I'll, again, you know, I was always waiting back for someone else to do it and to kind of see, okay. And then, like, I was still scared. And so, you know, if kid me was looking at me, like, getting on stage in front of a crowd of people and having charisma and having a really good time, and, like, it's a trip, and it still scares me every time, man. Like, shows are probably, like, the number one thing that scares me in life that I do. You know what I'm saying? It's like skydiving for me, you know, is like, it's like, you don't know how it's going to go. You don't know if you're going to forget your lyrics. You don't know you're going to get a curveball. Is a mic not going to work? Are you going to look dumb up there? It's like, you have all these intrusive thoughts and like doubts, and then you just, like, you just do it. And then it brings, like, a drug kind of fulfillment, like too much, overflowing amount of a fulfillment. You're like, whoa, dude, I think I could go on tour, man. I gotta just, like, it's like, stop, bro. You were about to cancel the show yesterday, bro. You fucking no, but I mean, like, for real, you just, like, you get this self-sabotage, and then, like, when it's over, you're just like, it's like the best thing in the world. So it's kind of one of those things, like you were saying, like, you just, you know, if you know it's good for you, you know, you just do it even when it, you know, you trust it.
Yeah, and it's doing that hard thing that you know you have to do. Like, obviously, in what you do, you have to get on stage. And, like, there's no getting around that part of it. That's just, that for sure
I had
has
to come to
happen.
peace with that, bro. At some point, I was like, shit, bro.
You might not have to go hang out at the clubs and stuff, but you got to get on stage or be in the club when you're performing, right? You know, and so
and you got to rap for people. Like, you know, one thing TS taught me is, like, I mean, this is things that I've just learned, but one thing that TS, I should say, does really well, that, like, just within the last 5 years I've really picked up a lot of game, is you know, you really got to be present in those moments. Like, I would get on stage and just, like, go through the motions and, like, rap my verses and be like, all right, I didn't forget anything, cool. But it's like another level to be up there and intimate with the crowd. And when you're rapping your lyrics, you're looking in people's eyes, and you're talking to people, and you're connecting, and they're feeling weird. They're like, oh shit, like, you know, you're looking at someone and they're leaving, like, oh, you fucking rap to me. Like, that's what makes it, like,
special.
So special, man.
I mean, case in point, when we did Good Growth. Earlier, well, I guess it was last year.
It was this year, January.
Was it
6th,
January?
2023.
There it is. January. It was this year, man. Jesus.
Barely.
All right. Well, yeah. So this year, I mean, your stage presence was crazy, bro. Like, you murdered that show.
Thank you, man. Thank you.
You murked it.
And I
was like the first time I really seen you probably perform sober, at least, you know what I mean? Because the other shows I'd been drinking and whatnot, but, like, I seen you at that show and I was like, damn, ExZac murders.
Damn, man.
He's murderous. Like, the way your flow was, your charisma. I mean, you and Matisse together kill it, you know what I mean? And Matisse is following up on a show right after you here with me. But yeah, you guys, like, your guys' stage presence together was crazy. And yours too. Just, like, the way you get it, bro, is just, like, it's entertaining. You know what I mean? Like, you were doing a performance. It wasn't just you up there rapping, you know, and it was felt, man. Like, I noticed it right away. Like, as soon as you guys got up, and the energy was different, you know.
I mean, I'll tell it out there to the people too. Like, you know, this is huge for, like, somebody, for, like, to hear this from you, you know what I mean? Like, to just, you know, a lot of times artists are just looking for a little validation to know that we're doing the right thing, you know, or that something worked, you know, because you know, people are like, oh, like, look, people like seem to have fun, but you don't know, like, if you know, and we always leave with these intrusive, like almost like sometimes it's like you'll leave on a high off the stage and shit like that, but you know, and then you'll be like, I mean, was that any good? Like, what they do?
Dude, that was, I mean, your guys' set was like, I want to even say it was the best local rap hip hop set that I've seen in person. Like, one, because of, you know, like the whole setting, the environment. Jazz helped set up that whole basement vibe. You know, it just like all coincided to make this like perfect event. I mean, and the room was filled, you know, like a lot of times you go to local hip hop shows and it's pretty sparse with the people that are in the room, you know, and so you guys were able to get a lot of people there. That's huge, you know what I'm saying, to have a successful show and to feel as an artist success in it too.
Well, I feel like it helps the fans too.
Right. It helps 100. It helps.
You feel weird when it's like so sparse and you're like, oh, shit. Like I'm just.
It makes you feel weird, and it makes people in the crowd feel a little weird too, because it's harder to blend in. It's harder just to be a part of the scene when it's just like there's only a few people in the scene. You know, you feel more noticed, or like whatever that feeling is. You know, it's real. And you know, so there was a lot of culminating factors that came into that night, and you guys seized the moment, you know, and like that's huge.
Damn.
You know, like I said, and I'm not sitting here, anybody that knows me like knows I say what I really think, you know, and I really thought that was like, I remember being in there, I was like, yo, this is one of the coolest local hip hop shows I've ever seen in Spokane. And I've been to a lot, you know what I mean?
Yeah, so that's like, huge. That's huge, man.
It was just the vibes were through the roof, and they were positive, you know, and like everybody in there was like having a good time and vibing hella hard to your guys' set. And
bro, there's like
really
a lot
cool
of
to see it.
A lot of fucking sets that we did, a lot of shows that we did that I'm glad you weren't there. You know what I'm saying? Because there was a lot of shit that we did that, you know, when they say the proper preparation prevents the piss poor performance, right? Like was a lot of not preparing. Like I didn't even know that you were supposed to rehearse for a long time.
Yeah,
I thought you know, you have this weird misconception as a rapper that you're supposed to be so G that you just go up, you just know your shit. I was just like you, and then I didn't know it. You know what I mean? Like, what are you thinking, bro? Like, of course, like it's the work that you don't realize, you know, that has been put in when you see your favorite artists. Performing and doing it flawlessly, and you just think, oh, they just, you know, no, there's rehearsals, there's hours have been spent to perfect this set that, you know, and me and Mike practice all that stuff. So yeah, man, I'm really excited to bring another one here soon.
Yeah, Good Growth 2.
Not Good Growth 2.
What's it called?
Growth 2.
Are we dropping the name yet?
We ain't got a name yet. We ain't got a name for it. I don't even know if we don't have a name for it, but I don't know. I don't know exactly. We're still kind of still kind of putting the pieces together.
You guys have a date though, don't you?
We have a date, and I have the artists all locked in too. So we got some supporting artists and shit that I'm like really excited to announce.
Sweet.
But it'll be August 4th.
August 4th.
At Lucky You Lounge. So
2023.
2023.
Make sure get the year in there.
Yep. And so that's you know, at this point it's I'm just saying save the date. That's all I'm saying. There's a lot. It's August. Like January was a little different. You know what I mean? It was like after the holidays, like XYZ. This is different, right? It's August 4th. Lots of shit popping. Summertime, camping, family reunions. I'm saying, you know, save the date now, because it's gonna go crazy, and we got Jazz back on the fucking set design, bringing it back, and we're gonna do it different. We're gonna bring a whole different thing.
Awesome.
Yep. And so yeah, very, very excited. We got, as far as supporting acts, we got my guy Owl Green is his name, and he's a rapper from I think he's originally from San Francisco, but he's in LA now. He does a lot of music, photography, God, he was the tour. He was the tour manager for the Grouch when they came here with Atmosphere, and he shoots like photos for like the Living Legends and shit like that. Just like a super cool guy. He's on our album Growth Spurt on our song Where Ya At. He's got the middle verse on that, and so very excited to have him come up here and be able to perform the song with him. And he's got a whole catalog of really similar, cool vibes like we do, and so yeah, we got him coming up, and then opening up the set we got my guy Dank Zavala is his name. Okay, it's this dude he's just like slept on to me, man. And he's from Mount Vernon, Washington, like north up there in Seattle, and he's yeah, man, he just does shows all the time, and I feel like he's just super underrated, makes really good music, not like doesn't have like a ton of recognition, especially over here in Spokane. So really excited to not only bring him here and get him some exposure to some new people, but then to bring people here to kind of experience our set and something familiar to look forward to, and then also to have a couple acts that they don't really know what to expect.
Yeah, for sure.
And on the back of that, man, really I want to say, like, I got a Spotify playlist called Algorithm Northwest, and it's rhythm like rhythm, you know what I'm saying? But that is a playlist that I put together that is like an accumulation of all Pacific Northwest hip hop. So Spokane, Seattle, Portland, and there's just some gems in there, man. And I listen. I don't really listen to a ton of real mainstream music because I found so much good music just from the people here, And when it comes to music, I feel like every stream matters and the dollars matter when you buy the merch and all that kind of stuff. So I really try to do all my listening and a lot of my stuff with the local artists.
Yeah.
And so,
I'm going to check it out.
Check that out, man.
Yeah, I'm going to check it out myself because I just need to tap in.
It's funny because you were saying, man, if I could just find some of these, like, kind of this positive, this and that. Like,
there you go.
That gets me motivated.
Yeah.
There's just so many good art. Like, I mean, I could sit here and just name off just so many artists that you probably never even heard of that are just banging, dude. Yeah. Banging, like really dope ass artists.
Sweet. I'll check out that. I'll follow that playlist and listen to. I'll probably do that right out the studio when I'm driving home.
Hell yeah.
Cause I get stuck in musical ruts sometimes. Like I'll just listen to the same thing.
Me too.
A lot of times, like, and I have a few like artists that I motivate me. Larry June has been a big one lately, cause his stuff's street, but it's not like it's about building wealth. It's
his shit just made me feel cool, bro.
Yeah,
when I listen to it, I'm like,
you feeling good, bro. You feeling cool. You feeling good.
I need to get some money.
And it's not no craziness in it. You know what I mean? Like, and Payroll Giovanni's newer stuff has been.
Never heard of him.
He's from Detroit. It's like it started off being like definitely like gangster cocaine rap, but his stuff recently is a lot more motivational about getting out the life and like things of the essence of just building wealth. You know what I mean?
Motherfuckers growing up.
Yeah,
and that's what it is. Like when you're younger, it's like you're doing the. You see it like in the growth of an artist where you see like in the younger days, it's just like, it's almost like that party shit or that trap shit or that like whatever. And then it's like everybody a lot of people all come to that. You get that maturity and you're like, man, we just need to build wealth and like have our health and just be able to, like all the shit that we've been talking about.
Yeah.
So that's refreshing when you see an artist kind of move in that direction.
Definitely, man. And, it's like we've been saying, it's important what you digest. So, like, that's where I'm trying to, and I've been doing good. I listen to a variety of music, but I can't get away from rap for motivation. Like, it's just the one that makes me feel like, I'm going to get some stuff done today, Where I can't really find that necessarily in other genres of music.
Well, I hope that you can find some stuff on this playlist. I will say for anybody that listens to the playlist is meant to be listened to on shuffle. So shuffle that bitch, fucking, and just let it play random. And there's so many gems in there, man. So yeah, Algorithm Northwest playlist. Check that shit out on Spotify. It's on Spotify. You got Apple. If you got anything else, I don't know. You screwed. But that's it.
What you doing? No, I'm joking. Let's see. One thing I want to know is how'd you get your name? How'd you develop the name ExZac Change?
It's crazy, man. It's just like I was just on the East Coast. It's just like it's the silliest story. And like I had a falling out with the dude who gave me the name, so I can't even like really like get the other side of it. You know what I mean? Where you're like, you know, how did ExZac? Because I only have it how I remembered it.
Right.
You know what I mean? Because it really was just a quick moment in time, like where we were like on the East Coast doing sales. We were, I think we were poor as shit at one point, and we were like living in hotels, and like I was just digging in the change in the car or some shit, and dude was just like, and like my producer at the time, he fucking knew like that I was like I wasn't set on a name, like I was just kind of I was just lost as far as my identity was concerned. And he was like, what about ExZac Change? And then it just never, that was it. It just like, as soon as that right there, I thought I was so good. I was so good that was it right there. I just,
what does the name mean to you now? Like, how do you perceive like do you have like a perception of the meaning of ExZac Change?
I mean, it's not like I can't get like philosophical with it, like because, but it is like
ExZac Change, like you getting what
I mean
cashed in on.
For me, really, it's like it kind of I've interpreted it as like I'm always gonna be able to change and adapt, right? Because it's like you know, and I'm always gonna give you something new. You know, and that I feel like that's another thing too. So whether it's a show, whether it's a new single, whether it's the bar videos, you know, I'm always going to give you something new. It's always going to be about kind of development, growth, and I think that one thing is like, you know, accepting change. Like a lot of people, obviously, right? Nobody wants to change. I don't like to change. I'm in sales. I try to tell somebody like, yo, man, this is a better option than this. And they're just like, well, I know I'm going to spend more money or do this or that, but because I don't like to change. And that's like people stuck in their ways, in their habits and things like that as well, right? So the ability to always like, as long as I'm ExZac Change, then I hold myself accountable. It helps me hold myself accountable to always be leading by example in that sense, to always be open to change and to be curious and to never pretend like I got it all figured out, and to know that life is going to change and that I'm going to need to adapt.
Yeah.
So I don't really think about it a lot though. I kind of had to think about it right there, and that is kind of what it means to me. But before it didn't mean shit. It was just like, fuck yeah, finally something that kind of like is like something that feels okay.
Felt good, and we're gonna run with it. But I was just curious, you know, because like I always like understanding the meaning of names, or not, like you know, like it doesn't necessarily need a meaning either. But I always like to try to find out, you know, how it came about and all those kinds of backstories.
I'm a firm believer that the best names, nicknames, rap names are given to you. And, you know, I know some motherfuckers that's giving themselves rap names, but I just think that there's something extra special about, like, you know, when this is like, you know, somebody gives you a nickname, somebody gives you a name, and so that's kind of another part of it too, right? Like I didn't have a deep thought and think about like, oh, what do I want? Like, what's going to encapsulate my personality in a perfect name, right? It was just somebody said some shit, and I was like, bro, that's it, you know? Because I didn't want to think about it too much,
right?
Yeah, and then I had a guy that was like, because I spell it ExZac, and he was like, yo, man, EX, if you put X in anything, it's a negative connotation, and people aren't going to like it. And then I was like, all right, whatever. I'm gonna keep rocking it. I don't care, you know. But he did get in my head for a second. This is just some random person commented on my shit. So don't read the comments either if you're getting a lot of comments, because fucking shit will get in your head. I was like, EX, am I like, is this negative? Like, are people thinking like X girl, X man, X? Oh shit.
Yeah.
You know, but nah, yeah, I just it's unique to me, you know, and that's like, it just, at some point you assume the identity, and it like, you kind of, is weird. It's like almost like you're playing a character, and then it's like you play it for so long. It's like, you know, it's like the Truman Show. It's like that's you now.
Yeah.
You know, and that's why I feel like I've just like assumed this character. Like I was a guy that just rapped. And that was it. And I was trying to be a rapper. I was trying to fit in. I was trying to think of the right things to rap about, the right things to say. And now it's just like, this is who I am. And that's powerful for me.
Yeah, man. ExZac Change.
Right there.
I think we'll just wrap it up like that, man. That was a solid way to end, unless you have anything else you want to touch on.
Of course, man. I got one other thing I want to touch on. Man, I'm doing some shit with Live from Somewhere. They fucking killing it. Shout out to those guys, bringing in artists from fucking all over Washington and shooting fucking live music video type stuff.
Top quality, too.
Top, dude.
Production's crazy.
And they're finding new locations, and it's cool because they offered for us to host and stuff like that. So, you know, for me, it's like totally random. They're just like, they shoot me an address and I just pull up, and then all of a sudden I'm blown away. I'm like, I'm in it with the audience. Like I'm, you know, taking in the location for the first time, a lot of times meeting and really digging into the artist for the first time. So it's really been a really unique experience. So follow Live from Somewhere. And also Matisse and I are dropping a single on July 3rd. Monday, nice. July 3rd, the day before 4th of July, is called Sunscreen. You know, Sweet. Mike and I love making summertime bangers. We made a song called The Great Outdoors, did a music video to it. We made a song called After the Rain, what people might know. We did a music video to it. And so now we got this one, and we're going to do a music video to this one too. So it's just kind of a special, almost like a tradition. And I
actually had one question about you and Matisse. You guys only do music together. You guys don't do solo projects, right? Is it you guys only work together on projects?
Yeah, I mean, I think that's something that's been kind of changing a little bit. Like, as far as you know, Growth Spurt, like every project that we've worked on. So
every album has been a collaboration between you two.
100%.
But you guys have singles out, right? That are just you as an artist. Is that correct? And then, okay.
So Mike has, and look, like you have him coming on the podcast, so I don't want to, you know, say too much. But Mike has like a fucking crazy dope song that isn't out, that he's got fully recorded. That's just like, I just listen to it almost every day. It's just a banger, dude. And I'm so excited for him to share it with people at the show. And I think that I've inspired him a little bit, as far as like, because I'll just take the initiative and just write, you know what I mean? And sometimes I'm not like, I don't want to wait to like send it over and you write it and come back. Like I'm just like, I just find a beat and I just write to it. And if it's powerful, then I keep it and I just execute it, you know, and just get it. And but I think that most things I like to give to Mike, because I feel like we both, like, he'll write something and I'll just be blown away and it'll challenge me to write something real good, and then vice versa. Like I'll have a hook in the verse or something like After the Rain, and then just shoot that over to Mike, and then he gets this crazy inspiration, you know, to add his thing to it. So he put like on After the Rain, at the very end of my verse, Mike pops in with a little like bridge, like a little tiny thing before the hook comes back in. And then like just these little things where he's sprinkling in ad libs. And so it really is like, we're better together.
Yeah.
100%. But I feel like it's like music is such a medium of expression that it's like, I'm finding it now to be impossible to not create music by myself too.
Yeah, 100% makes sense, man. Yeah. I mean, what you guys do together is what you do together, but what you guys will be able to do on your own is going to be a different message or different expression, you know?
And the fans want it too. Like,
yeah,
you know, regardless, it's like some fans are like, some people like are just like, I fuck with ExZac Change, like that's like I really like him, you know, I like that. So people are just like, dude, Matisse is just superior. It's like the lyricism, all this fucking charisma, this type of shit. And so I feel like for them, they also really appreciate it when, you know, they get like a full song from like the one artist. So I feel like it's good to have both. And me and Mike made music together for such a long time that I think it was kind of overdue for us to kind of release. We that's the thing about artists too, is like, it's not cheap to make music either. Like if you don't make your own beats and stuff, so you got like, you know, you got to like pay for the production and a lot of that kind of stuff, and pay for the studio time, pay for the distribution. There's a lot to it, you know? So it's like a lot of times we make music and just like sit on it, or you make a single like by yourself and you would never release it because it just wouldn't have the resources to get it out. You had to have album artwork. Like there's really like a lot of things that go into it. And I guess I've just kind of like just stopped letting that hold me back, you know? And I've really just taken that initiative to reach out to people. Like I feel like that's one big thing I want to say is that all of us have more resources than we think we have. And if you're ever in a spot, like, you know, chances are there's somebody that can provide maybe not like the exact resource, but a direction. Somebody knows somebody. Somebody knows somebody who knows somebody. Yeah. You know, and you can.
It's never a lack of resources. It's a lack of resourcefulness.
That's right. Yeah. That's right. Because
you gotta be resourceful. If you want it, you can find a way to make it happen.
And that's another thing too, is like you got to be a wave maker. Everybody want to be a wave rider, but you know what I mean? I'm all about making the wave and then riding it myself with my homies. You know what I mean? So it's like, I want to make the wave, and making the wave, what I mean by that is, I mean, pick up the phone and be the initiator. Yeah. Say, hey, I fuck with you. Yeah. I want to do something. I want to hang out. I want to pick your brain. I want to listen to your beats. I want to, you know what I mean? And taking that initiative, like this dude, you know, Waffles, he's a dope ass producer from Tacoma. And, you know, I wanted to make the relationship right. So I drove out to Tacoma and went and hung out with him for the first time and bought some beats in person. So that way I could really develop that relationship. And now, you know, he made pretty much all the beats on our last album. And, you know, I got a file full of more beats for the next album. So it's like those kind of relationships. It's like he wouldn't have reached out to me and said, hey, you know, you want some beat? Like, you know what I mean? You have to be the initiator. You have to, you know, it comes with friendships. If you want, like, a lot of people, it's all sorts of people like, oh, I don't know if they want to, it's like, just hit people up. What's up, man? Yeah. Like if you fuck with somebody and you recognize their energy and you like them, like, don't wait around. Like, be the person to reach out and to say, hey, what are you doing? What are you doing this weekend? Oh, okay, cool. You know, you want to get, you know, like.
That's real game, man. That's real game right there. Yeah, you can't wait. You want something, you got to go get it. Yeah, solid.
Thank you, man.
Was there anything else you wanted to share? Because we got just, you know, off on the Change of Matisse thing, but was there any other things you want to close up with?
Happy to be here podcast, man. Yeah, check it out, man. We did we do fucking interviews. We do fucking shenanigans. I mean, shit, we just did we do our thing called a squad cast, and we just did one where Mike brought in he got these chips from Lithuania, man. He got pussy and dick flavored chips and didn't tell us. And we did a blind chip challenge. And so yeah, sometimes we just that's awesome. Sometimes we just do some fucking crazy shit, man, and it's just hilarious. So great. That was So and then we also have some fucking super talented, awesome, interesting people on too. So
for sure.
So check that out, and just stay tuned, man. Come to the show. You know, we're gonna be popping up around the city doing all sorts of cool stuff. So, you know, just stay tuned. Follow me on Instagram, Twitter, motherfucking Snapchat if you use that, TikTok, again, ExZac Change all around. Google me, find the YouTube, you know, like, and more's coming.
Yes, sir. All right. That's chapter 22 with ExZac Change. I'm your host, Bobby J, and this is City Chapters Podcast. Till next time.